you are a radical propagandist liar. Both trauma needs to be acknowledged by both groups. There's two things that need to be true for this ever to be resolved peacefully.
You're right.
Palestinian self-determination and the Israelis' right to have secure borders.
Zionism
as long as you ignore that, there will always be war. Palestinians will always die, and you will continue to make money from it.
Yeah, they were all hostages.
So how does that help Israel? Taking a bunch of Filipino fucking unaffiliated sailors hostage for a year.
Do you understand the concept of deterrence?
Well, how's that deter Israel? Kidnapping fucking
Do you understand the concept of deterrence?
Yes. How is that a deterrence?
It is. How are they slowing this so-called genocide down? Robbing random freight trains freighters that have nothing to do with Israel.
Was doing a genocide in Palestine. How do you think the Yemeni population should have responded to the Israeli genocide? Should they have sat back and just let it happen?
Yemeni is not Houthi, by the way.
And also, they can't say, obviously, they fucking can't say from the river to the sea, Palestine, because that scares you, Ethan. So obviously they can't.
Right. So they have slavery. And they're anti-LGBT. When is Hassan going to pretend that he's not actually progressive? And Hassan is actually far right? Because supporting the Houthis is something that like far right activists would support, right? And it's not just that, right? Because you can say that they're trying to stop the genocide. Well, they're not. They're using the so-called genocide as an excuse to do high seas robbery, right? Grand Theft Auto, Water Edition.
Can't do that either. So
I mean, it doesn't. It's what Norman Finkelstein said.
How can people be pro-Palestine in a way that you think is appropriate?
Where your example is hijacking an unaffiliated ship and kidnapping 15 sailors?
Not unaffiliated. It's not unaffiliated. But even if it was unaffiliated, as I've said already, if it was unaffiliated, that wasn't unaffiliated. You lied about that, and you recognize.
Let's go basics. How can you be progressive whilst making excuses for genocide? Well, when other groups are taking advantage of the reasoning for genocide to profit off themselves, right? You can't be progressive and also advocate for grifting off genocide, right? Does that make sense?
As you lied about that for the record. Okay. But if it was,
people can look into it.
It wasn't, even if it.
Why did they didn't need to kidnap random people. That's like terrorist shit. Why are they kidnapping random unaffiliated sailors? How are you defending
Ethan,
that?
You're
defending them kidnapping these unrelated foreign sailors?
You know what's terrorist shit? Israel fucking blowing up a humanitarian aid
When did I defend that?
1,002. No, I'm not saying you're defending that. I'm just explaining to you what actual terrorism looks like.
Well, you are defending
Israel,
terrorism,
as of this conversation taking place,
it many
Israel
times
last
during this
night
conversation.
literally drone striked a fucking humanitarian aid ship that was headed for Gaza off the coastline of Malta. That's real fucking terrorism. What the Houthis are doing, on the other hand, is resistance.
So
and it's not only moral, but it's just.
Very good. You're right. You're so righteous.
If justice is
served, do you think that the Filipino hostages who are held there for a year agree that that was an awesome, that was an awesome act of resistance? Probably not. Right?
Probably not. Can you explain to me what you would do? What would you do?
I think, well, first of all, I think that like there's something to be said for stopping the cargo in that strait, but they're doing it insanely fucking stupid. They're stopping unaffiliated ships and they're kidnapping unaffiliated people. How is that good? They're doing it bad.
It's not an unaffiliated ship, by the way. But even then,
you won't explain how it's affiliated. You said it's owned by an Israeli conglomerate. That is an outright lie. Hold on, you're doing disinformation right now. It was not owned by an Israeli conglomerate. You said that. Yes, it was a lie. Galaxy Leader is a vehicle carrier that was owned by a British company, operated by a company connected. It was connected. It wasn't even, he didn't even own it. It was connected.
Right. So this is what I'm talking about, right? Like, they're not actually stopping the genocide. They're grifting off with the reasoning of stopping the genocide by robbing ships that don't have anything to do with the genocide. Like, can people really be, like, even for progressives, right? I'm not really a progressive anymore, but like, even for progressives, how could you purport to like support grifting off of a genocide, right? Does that make sense? Like, this makes no sense to support the Houthis. Like, they're grifters, right?
Connected to an Israeli businessman.
And they fooled everyone.
It was co-owned by a business that this Israeli guy was involved in.
Yeah, co-owned by Abraham Ongar.
So what? You know his name.
What do you mean? It's co-owned by an Israeli. What are we talking about?
No, it's co-owned by a company that has an Israeli dude affiliated with it.
Well, you asked me how it's connected.
It's owned by a British company.
You asked me how it's connected. I'm telling you how it's connected.
Well, you're lying.
And now you don't like that connection.
You're lying. That's what I don't like.
I'm not lying. The ship info is readily available, Ethan.
Yeah, I agree. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter anyway. The problem for me, really, it doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Well,
okay,
so
that's
the
point number 5 that you also presented falsely on your context puke.
The problem is more the kidnapped sailors. I just don't understand you can justify kidnapping a bunch of unaffiliated sailors.
I don't, Ethan.
You are. You
Ethan,
you go.
Ethan,
have you ever heard of deterrent?
Ethan.
Yeah. Walk with me through this carefully.
Yeah, please.
Please
explain to me how it's justifiable to kidnap 15 sailors.
What would you do, Ethan? What would you do?
Go ahead.
You have a better way to do it. I think we're gonna figure it out.
Well, like I said, you can do it without kidnapping unaffiliated,
During the
holding them for a
Holocaust,
year.
There were militancy, resistance, okay, that cut off supply lines, okay, supply lines for the Nazis, or even sometimes supply lines that actually impacted the civilians, okay, impact the civilians. Do you feel like that kind of resistance was unwarranted?
It's completely irrelevant. Why did they hold them for a year?
I don't know.
Okay.
That aspect is right. There's always someone trying to make money off of war. Look at all the progressive countries. They're all making arms supplies to keep the war machines going. So in my opinion, what are you talking about, dude? You realize you're making no sense, right? You're saying that, oh, because we have a military industrial complex, it's okay to blow up freighters of innocent blue-collar workers who aren't even supplying anything to Israel? Is that the argument that you're making? Because is it me, or does that argument make absolutely no fucking sense whatsoever?
Because they're terrorists.
What? Because they're terrorists?
Yeah, they're terrorists. They kidnap innocent civilians.
Are they? So
the Filipino guys?
The people that are resisting against the Israeli genocide that you call a genocide are actually terrorists because you don't agree with
kidnapping
their
innocents
fucking methods. But you have no way.
Kidnapping innocents.
No alternative. You have no alternative.
That's not true. I say just don't kidnap innocent people.
Nothing else.
It's easy. Just don't kidnap innocent people. They could have done that, right? They could have taken the boat. They could have commandeered the boat and not kidnapped people, right? Oh, is that possible?
Okay, fair. Do you think that warrants the standard of saying that one of the only groups that is doing militancy against and resisting against Israel's genocide, which they stopped, by the way. They literally stopped when Israel actually followed through on a ceasefire. If they were just, erroneously and randomly fucking trying to claim ships because they're pirates, they want to live the pirate life, then obviously they wouldn't have stopped doing that, don't you think? And they only started their blockade.
By the way, by pirates, what they are actually doing is that they're rigging speedboats up with explosives and then ramming them into fucking cargo ships. Like absolute fucking insane people, all right?
After Israel started starving Gaza again.
It's not about exploring and finding the Grand Line, right? Exploring the Grand Line to search for the One Piece. Like, what they're doing is murder and rape. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, do you think pirates in real life are here for adventure? Pirates in real life are rapists and murderers. Like, I don't know what else to say.
And then
that's
also
great.
Turned
what does
around.
that have to do with innocent sailors?
Ethan, I don't think you want to go down this route.
I'm ready. What do you mean?
Innocent people is terrorism. Is Israel terrorist? Is the IDF terrorist?
I mean, you could characterize it that way.
Is the IDF terrorist?
I mean, it's an army, so it's a different thing. It's like a.
Why is it a different thing? You think the Ansar Allah movement doesn't have a standing army?
Yeah,
they have an army.
The Houthis are to like a hostile takeover of like a portion of Yemen. They're at odds with the government. It's different. They also own slaves, by the way.
We're going to talk about the Ansar Allah movement's history.
But I'll say yeah, Israel. The IDF is terrorist. Yes, the IDF is terrorism.
Hold on. Talk to me about how the Ansar Allah movement actually came to power without getting any notes from your Discord or anything like that. Explain to me the process in which Ansar Allah actually came to power.
I don't know.
What?
I do not know.
Oh, you don't know?
Yeah, you should try saying that sometimes.
Because in your video, you also used a lot of Saudi outlets to be like, these guys are actually doing slavery.
Give me one.
And it turned out that actually,
give me the Saudi outlets.
The videos that you used did not even suggest that it was Ansar Allah that was doing slavery in the fucking poorest country on the planet. Okay?
The Houthis have slaves. That's not even contested.
They weren't the ones who were doing the slavery, according to your own fucking video, but you still used it.
The Houthis have slaves, undisputed.
Propaganda papers that at a time when Saudi Arabia was doing a fucking genocide.
Having slaves and kidnapping innocents. It's just so unnecessary.
Does it matter if they own slaves and are people, lol, and they rape people, lol? Yeah, especially if they're doing it for no reason. Wait, I can't tell if you're being sarcastic. I think you're being sarcastic, okay? Because you're on my side. Matthew, welcome to chat. Hello, Lynn.
Hey.
What are you talking about?
Just acknowledge
dude?
that they do terrible shit.
The Saudi-backed government was the one that was actually doing slavery.
No, well, if they did, then the Houthis also have slaves. That's just a statement of fact.
No, the Houthis don't have shit. Okay, it's
they don't have shit. They don't have.
What do you mean? They have slaves. They don't have shit. Wait, how is that a counter? Wait, what the fuck? They have slaves.
They don't even have slaves. They don't even have food. Like, what are you talking about?
That's not the point I'm making. Okay. They are the poorest country on the planet that just came out of a
and how's that blockade, by the way, helping the country?
Saudi Arabia
how is the blockade helping the famine in Yemen? How is the blockade helping the famine in Yemen?
There is, as far as I understand, there's no longer a famine in Yemen. I'm talking about before, because you
Hey, that rhymes. Famine in Yemen. Oh, that rhymes. That's nice.
Talked about how you were a regional expert.
What is blockading doing for the poorest country on earth?
Ansar Allah and their violent takeover of Yemen. So I was like trying to figure out what you know about this. Maybe you know something that I don't know. So I was trying to pick your brain a little bit.
So explain to me why it matters.
It seems like you don't know shit.
Sure, I don't know about this specific thing. Tell me why it matters.
Why it matters? What their blockade?
Yeah.
Was your nice hairpin that is only on special days? Is today a special day?
Clearly,
their blockade is. Oh, their blockade is awesome.
Why it matters? How they came to power?
Oh, because you used Saudi newspapers in the time when Saudi Arabia, according to Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, all fucking NGOs, was doing a Western-backed blockade that was killing hundreds of thousands of people, and the headlines that you used in your context cube were from Al Arabiya and numerous other outlets that had their own personal investment in vilifying the Ansar Allah movement. Having said that, of course, I also think that there are plenty to criticize about the Ansar Allah movement. I don't agree with everything that they're fucking doing. As I've said time and time again, like their banner, right? Their banner says,
how is this debate? Oh, Hassan is winning. He's doing fantastic.
First the Jews, which you also presented in your video. Except, remember when you talked about Norm Finkelstein and how Norm Finkelstein doesn't agree with "From the River to the Sea"?
You agree with kidnapping civilians?
Can we play the clip of Norm Finkelstein talking about the curse the Jews and what he thinks about that? Let's do that. Let's pull up the clip of Norm Finkelstein's thoughts.
How is that relevant?
These actions and the blockade against these. You used him as a primary source earlier because you thought he's a reputable guy, which I think I agree.
He said something that I've said that I've been criticized for. What does that have to do with every other take he's taken? It doesn't mean that I support that. Like we're aligned with every other take in the world.
Yes, we have.
Dan, can you play this clip real quick? Sorry, this is 50 seconds.
It's irrelevant.
I passed it along.
It's totally irrelevant.
What do you mean it's irrelevant?
Because who gives a fuck what he said about it?
Wait, what do you mean?
You want to talk about
Hitler? You use this perspective on From the River to the Sea to imply that he agrees with you.
He does.
I want to see if you agree with him on this. Just play it.
All right, I'll play it.
Thank you.
So here, I'm going to play it, okay? And then when this is done, let's move on to something I know we both want to talk about.
No, he's winning big.
You claimed, I'm going to play it. I just want to set this up. You claimed that the worst thing I said in the context puke is that I wrongfully portrayed Jewish people fleeing from their countries, and I denied the Nakba somehow, which is crazy. So let's talk about that after this clip.
That is kind of crazy.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
And
by the way,
you're not going to scare us. You're not going to.
I'll just say up front, we can end on that point.
Oh, I can keep going.
Oh, I'm sure you can.
Want to.
Yeah, I know. I know you go to bed tonight in a cool race car bed, but I have family.
Okay, no, that's fine. Why are you thinking about what my bedroom looks like? It's kind of weird, man.
Yeah. No, you're right. You fucking badass fucking sports car bed. It's a meme.
Very odd.
Here it is.
As long as the people in Gaza are subjected to a genocide, we won't stop. Do you know all the praise that's given to the Danish government because it helped evacuate Jews during World War II? But is there a case where a totally distant people did that for the people of Gaza? If I were to give a Nobel Peace Prize, I would divide it between three. South African delegation. Number two, those doctors who volunteered to go to Gaza, the Doctors Without Borders and others. One doctor, he was Palestinian. Why don't you leave? Because he had the option. He was able to go. He said, I didn't go to medical school for 30 years to abandon my people. He was killed. And the third, it's the Houthis. If genocide is the crime of crimes, the Houthis are the hero of heroes.
Yeah, I mean, the first two examples, I definitely agree. I think it's
psychotic
you say that? To give the Houthis a peace prize. That's nuts.
Why?
Because what the fuck have they done for peace other than kidnap innocent civilians? What have they done for their own populace? This is, as you said, the poorest country on earth.
That is
what
a
are they
direct
doing for
material.
peace?
The Houthis have.
What does this have to do with the river to the sea?
Material consequences.
I had no idea Norm supported terrorism. Me neither. Okay. The fact that he said the Houthis are the heroes of heroes is just about the most wildest line ever. I'm sure they're big heroes for profiting off of robbing people.
Consequences for Israel
and being mayhem
as
spreaders.
It has implemented a genocide.
All right, let's give them a peace prize. Whatever, I don't care. Let's give them a peace prize.
I think they deserve it.
Yes, absolutely, without a doubt.
Yeah. Wait, also,
don't ask the unaffiliated prisoners who were held for a year, though, if they do.
No, I don't. I think you're missing the broader point here. You're missing the forest for the trees.
Right.
Here, I'll give you a great example of this, by the way, because you spent a lot of time being like, the Houthis are bad. They're homophobic. I'm like, I'm sure they are. Holy shit. Also, Dan, it keeps switching back to me on my end. Sorry.
Let's talk about the issue of the Nakba and stuff.
Okay. Hold on. I know you keep saying, "Oh, it doesn't matter. This is boring." Whenever you come across a
it's irrelevant. You just talk and talk. It makes the video unwatchable.
You said the Houthis are barbaric. They're homophobic. They hate women. All this shit, right? And I'm sure a lot of that is correct. Of course it is. It is the fucking poorest nation on the planet, and all it is known is fucking death and destruction.
By the way, okay, this is the oppressor-oppressee dynamic at work again. Okay, I just want to say that. All right, just remember, okay, because they are the poorest nation on the planet, now they are, like, not responsible for jack shit because they are the poorest nation, right? This is why Hassan keeps on repeating this point over and over and over and over and over again, because he believes that since they are the poorest, anything is justified in their eyes, right? Like, anything is justified. Because they are the poorest. Again, it's the oppressor-oppressee dynamic. Okay.
This doesn't justify having that sort of opinion, of course, but it certainly understands, don't you think? Certainly is part of the point, part of the problem. And the best possible way to probably get them to have a civil rights movement to give gays rights would probably be to stop fucking bombing them, as Joe Biden did and as Donald Trump has done.
Yeah, that wasn't my chief criticism. Man, again, my criticism is that they are kidnapping civilians.
Yeah, I know. You don't like their methods, but you...
Foods, I can tell you watch a lot of Destiny. Yeah, what gave that off?
You have no alternative method.
I said just do it without kidnapping civilians, dude. It's not rocket science.
Let's get back to the IDF. You said the IDF is maybe not a terror organization, but the IDF is a terror organization.
I didn't say that. Wrong.
Through and through.
Wrong. Again, a liar.
Okay, so you think the IDF is a terror organization?
I said yes.
You believe the IDF
I think it would be. Okay. I think it's fair to characterize them that way.
Okay. Your wife was in the IDF.
Yeah.
Okay, this is getting weird.
Do you believe your wife is a terrorist?
Of course not.
you have considered a 19-year-old Yemeni TikToker who is not even a part of the Al-Houthi family with no Houthi affiliation, but simply a person that says he stands with the Houthis, and I do too, a terrorist over and over again because he has a gun in the second highest gun ownership density per capita. And because he responded to a fucking Instagram comment saying he's a soldier, a dude
shaken, not stirred.
If Houthis broke into his mansion, he'd call 911.
Well, if Houthis broke into his mansion, obviously he would thank them for the work that they have done, you know, on stopping the apartheid regime, genocidal regime known as Israel. Yeah, no shit, he would call 911 into his Beverly Hills mansion, okay? Thank you, Dia, for the $2. I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys, okay? Guys, okay, remember, if you want to support me, support the stream, okay? Please consider putting a like, putting a dono. All right, remember. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here.
Who doesn't even speak English.
Let's watch this.
You kept claiming that he was a terrorist over and over again.
He is.
His name is Rashid al-Haddad. He is not even a fucking Zaidi Shia. He's not even a part of the Houthi family.
Let's watch the evidence.
Family, you know, his last name would be al-Houthi, not al-Haddad. Okay?
Let's watch the evidence.
This person, you looked at a 19-year-old fucking teenager who's a TikToker,
terrorist,
in the poorest country on the planet, who's only known death and destruction, and spent countless fucking hours looking through whatever his social media was to be like, this guy is bad.
Let's look at it.
Yeah, of course he's fucked up. He lives in goddamn Yemen.
Do you know what the bigotry of low expectations is?
Like you, dumbass.
Do you know what the bigotry of low expectations is? You're saying because he's poor, he hates Jewish people? Let's watch. Ready?
No,
let me show you.
It's not because he's poor that he hates Jewish people. It's because he lives in fucking Yemen. And in that part of the world, the only thing that people see is the dangerous conflation of Zionism and Judaism.
I'm sure
the fighter jets that blow up their fucking schools have a Star of David next to them. And when the Palestinians are kidnapped, when they're fucking forced to go through military trial detention, they get fucking Stars of David carved on their heads. Israel is the one that dangerously and falsely claims to be the nation state of Jews. Israel is the one that makes everybody.
Why did he say Jews with a hard J? Can someone here please tell me why he said Jews with a hard J? There's no need to do that. Now he's just looking really sus.
I think that this action, all of the action, the genocide that you called a genocide, is actually being done at the behest of Jews.
That's not true.
Of course, for everyone
Israel
in that
doesn't
side
claim
of the
they're
fucking
doing
world,
it on behest
when they
of
say
Jews.
Jew, it's interchangeable with Israel. Many of these people, including
Do you think he's like Anne Frank?
What?
Do you think he's like Anne Frank?
Oh, of course, absolutely. He has withstood genocide. He has withstood genocide by the Saudi government. Of course I do. I think that talking to, but my point.
This is the third time I'm listening to this, and I'm still taken aback by how retarded comparing him to Anne Frank is. Why the fuck would you compare him to Anne Frank? What the fuck? Did Anne Frank, like, rob freighter ships and kidnap people? And, like, what are we talking about here? Like, why are we on this point? Why are we comparing Luffy, the Houthi, to Anne Frank, the fucking killed in death camp?
I was fucking presenting. My point that I was fucking
Anne Frank
presenting.
is famous for being a pacifist and seeing the good in people despite a fucking Holocaust that took every member of her family but her dad. That's why she's inspiring. This guy went on Twitter and said, fuck Jewish people. Would you think
Anne Frank would be less inspiring if she somehow was able to get out
If she was like, I want to kill Germans and hang them? Yeah.
And took up arms against the Nazis? Would you say that Anne Frank is bad for that? Say Anne Frank is bad for that, Ethan.
For something that didn't happen?
Anne Frank would be bad if she took up arms against the violent Nazi occupation. Say it.
It wouldn't be the same, for sure. It
wouldn't be the same.
She's famous for being a pacifist and seeing the good in people despite living through a Holocaust. You understand that? That's not what. Let me show you. Let me show you.
Do you think that if Anne Frank? Do you think that if Anne?
I am Dutch. Anna was Dutch Jew. That chinchilla, There's no way she's related to you. Don't worry about it, okay? Listen, she's already dead.
Frank took up arms against the Nazi occupation.
Israel isn't occupying Yemen anyway.
What?
Israel's not occupying Yemen.
Israel isn't. But for every single country in this region, American imperialism is all they have known. You say the Saudis,
you said this, why don't they say death to Saudi Arabia on their flag? Why is it Jews? Why is it damn the Jews?
They're directly fighting Saudi Arabia.
But
what
I thought,
are you
you see the Star of David, of course they hate Jews. What about their, why does their flag say death to fucking Israel and damn the Jews?
Their flag says death to America, death to Israel, a curse upon the Jews.
Damn the
which
Jews.
I have said time and time again is kind of gauche, not acceptable, not appropriate by Western standards. But if you listen to,
why does it say Saudi Arabia?
A clip on that too. Norm has a clip on that too. Do you want to see?
No, let me show you this because you've been going on.
No, dude, who cares about Norm Finkelstein? Oh my god, dude, that guy is like a fucking fossil. He's probably gonna die tomorrow. He's probably gonna choke on his spit and die tonight. Okay, Jesus.
Norm Finkelstein, explain that.
No, I want to show you this. Okay, you've been talking and talking and talking and talking. Very good. Let's watch this.
Do you condemn the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, Ethan?
You got to stop.
Do you condemn the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising?
I'm going to play this video. Okay. He says, ready for maybe I read
sacrifice and eager for martyrdom. Maybe he's talking about football. Here he is singing a song with the words, do you threaten us with what we are waiting for, son of a Jew? Meaning of Houthi is a title, and it's not something to fear, but for the Jews. They are very afraid of this title. The execution we will carry out on all Zionists, with the lovely depiction of a man impaled through his asshole and out of his mouth with a pike, or how Hassan likes to say it, a pike for a cut. Okay, why would he retweet this article called Houthis use social media to boost global prominence and support? Israel falls. Wait for the new operation in Tel Aviv, the Jaffa drone, which no Israeli defense can stop. The ships we bombed and sank. I know the red arrow is supposed to be a cool military Hamas thing. This is a butt plug. Just saying. To every Zionist, I will put this into your stomach. And let me state the obvious. Jew and Zionist is clearly interchangeable to this guy. Okay, but hating Jews doesn't make you a Houthi. Are you a soldier? Yes. That seems pretty definitive.
Why did he say yes to are you a soldier?
Bro, he doesn't even fucking speak English. You're like, oh, he's a soldier. Wait, even if he is, I'm going to ask you a question very clearly and very deliberately. If Anne Frank,
just like Anne Frank, by the way,
if Anne Frank if we had the internet during the time of the Holocaust and Anne Frank posted about this is what we're going to do to the Nazis, would your analysis of Anne Frank change even a little bit, even an iota?
Yes, of course it would, because she's famous for being a pacifist, not tweeting out death to all Zionists. She's famous for seeing the good in people, not fucking tweeting out that we want to nuke Israel. What do you mean?
One, because I would not give a fuck. I would be loud and proud going, hey, that's what she said. That's what we're going to do to the Nazis. Fuck yeah, girl.
So hold on. After watching that compilation, you still agree that he's just like Anne Frank?
Did you not hear what I asked you?
I'm just summarizing.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Anne Frank died before she could resist, but if she did, I would never. What I asked you.
I'm just summarizing.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Anne Frank died before she could resist.
Okay, I replayed it, just making sure, okay, that I didn't mishear it, okay?
But if she did, I would never hold that against her.
She was fucking killed in a concentration camp, you psychopath.
But if she
was exterminated with her whole fucking family. Her dad's the only one that survived and recovered her journal. Are you fucking mad?
Either, Ethan, right? Would you hold that against her? Would you hold that against?
I wouldn't hold it against her, but she wouldn't be the same historical figure that said, despite my family being killed in concentration camp and everyone being murdered, I'm still a pacifist that sees the good in people. What the fuck what's so confusing about that? Not kill Zionists, not nuke Israel, not a pike through Zionist assholes.
Jesus.
I can't believe we're once again discussing the posts of a dude in Yemen
you
who
really
is
like to
19
do that.
fucking years old.
Well, you said he's not a Houthi. You mean you went on and on and on and on about how he's just some random fucking innocent kid that you platformed and glazed the fuck up, by the way. Which is, by the way, just terrible journalism. Like you have KFC in Yemen? Is that the fucking best question you have for someone who's apparently surviving a genocide in Yemen, who's been with the crew of kidnapped hostages, who has apparently partied with the captains?
That wasn't even correct.
You say, is there KFC in Yemen? Are you fucking kidding me? Just insane.
Here's some clips
but hold on,
besides
shown. Being like wrong, it's insanely incompetent.
We're going clip for clip. Can you please play this? It's from my subreddit.
Sure.
Okay.
Give me a sec.
It's from my subreddit, guys.
Okay. After this, please, we got to move on to the Nakba thing.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Every single victim of Israeli or American violence has to be a pacifist.
Okay, do you want me to watch this? I mean, what the fuck, bro? It's 4 minutes, so I'm not going to watch the whole thing, but I'll watch like a minute or 2 minutes. Okay?
طبعا جاتني اسئله كثيره ماذا اذا اليهود قرروا ان يعودوا الى اليمن يعني بنسمح لهم ولا لا ولا طبعا طبيعي يعني احنا اليمنيين نمد ايدينا للسلام يعني اليمن مسموحه لاي شخص يعيش فيها. This is like shot like by a fucking like propagandist. What are you talking about? Like, he's all fucking dolled up. He's got makeup on. The lighting is perfect. He's like, guys, please, we love the Jews. Give me a break. Our problem is not with the Jews,
like a
guys.
Big man, buddy, dunking on a fucking 19-year-old living in Yemen. You pick and choose what you think. You pick and choose what you think is appropriate.
Well, what do you think about all the shit I showed you? Which do you think he believes, this or that?
I think he believes both.
Oh.
This is not.
He believes that Jews are our friends, and also we need to murder them all.
The problem is,
he believes that Jews are our friends, and we need to murder them all. Is that correct?
Is that what you're
saying?
No,
he said Jews. He, in the tweet, said this is what we're going to do to Jews.
From a Western perspective, for them, when they talk about Israel, they sometimes reflect it as
and that's the Jews' fault, right?
But listen to me.
And you're blaming the victim.
Because in that interview that I conducted with him, I asked him about how he felt about Jews, anti-Zionist Jews specifically.
I remember.
And he said he loves them.
That is such a lie. You're such a liar.
You don't know this person,
I watched it. That's not what he said, though.
He has no reason
He said if they support Palestine, then I like them.
He didn't.
You're lying. You're just lying. You're lying about what he said. You're lying. I've seen that interview. You're lying. He didn't say that. He said if they support Palestine, then that's good. What? That's what he said. It's a fucking materially way different than I love Jews. What the fuck you said?
No,
I do remember him saying, "Oh, if they are against Israel, then I love them." Yeah. But he never did actually say, "Oh, I like Jews," right? Yeah. I thought that kid hated Jews, Hassan. He heavily implies it, okay?
Didn't hear you just repeated what I said.
Go ahead, what'd you say?
I said love, but I think he didn't, I guess he didn't say love.
What did he say? Hold on a second.
Like.
What did you say he said?
I said that I don't care what anyone's background is. I love them. Jew, Christian, Muslim, doesn't matter. If you are against Israel, I love them. That's what I said. He has no problem with Jews who are pro-Palestine.
That's nowhere close to what you said.
Dude.
Well, you realize you were wrong. You got caught in a lie, so you're revising. It's fine. All right, let's move on to the Nakba thing.
Oh, no.
Dude, I don't care.
We got to move on, bro.
Ethan, listen to my words very carefully. If he had told me, okay, I hate all Jews unconditionally. I am an anti-Semitic person.
He did tweet stuff like that.
The conversation would go very differently. But even then, I probably wouldn't be as vicious as you assume I would. He literally said that on social media or you want me to be. Because I understand the material conditions and what plays a role in people's recognition of the world.
Nobody needs to fear us but Jews, he said. I'm going to shove my gun and kill Jews.
What? No, he didn't say that.
I'll play it again. You want me to play it again?
Oh, God. Okay, dude. You just play the fucking clip then. God damn it. Just play the clip. He said Zionist, but play the fucking clip, Ethan.
Yeah. I'll play it.
Play the clip I sent you without fucking...
Wait, hold on. I'm a little confused. Didn't he say Zionist? Or is it Jew? He said Zionist, right? Although, to be fair, again, it's also bad, right? But, like... Does he actually say Jew? They use the same? Oh, yeah, I know. Okay, I know. Zionist equals Jew. Hassan admitted earlier. Oh, okay. Okay, I got you.
Complaining.
No,
He's too dolled up.
But you want me to watch your clip? I thought, no, we're going to watch my clip.
No, play the fucking clip I sent you.
By the way, is this, I don't
No,
know
that's,
if this is...
he literally says the same thing. No. I remember. Yeah, I remember. Sorry, I watched this like 2 times already, but I still can't remember everything.
I don't know if this music's claimed, by the way. We can.
It doesn't.
It does matter, unfortunately.
It's most likely
you're
not
on Twitch
fucking
where
claimed.
stealing
Come on.
content is
I
fucking
believe you
regular,
guys.
but on YouTube there's standards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. God forbid someone might copy strike you, and then their lawyers might demand erroneous.
Which you admitted is
things
sometimes
out of
warranted. Where's the link
Mr.
of
Fair Use? Mr. Fair Use.
Yeah, do you know what fair use is, you fucking moron? It's using it fairly. There's a big difference between...
No, I know. Fair use is when you get mad at Redditors criticizing you, so you fucking you get
Of course
your
I care about
high-powered
my
attorney
monetization
to fucking
status.
sue them and make demands about how they
What's
have
that do
to
with fair use, man?
release
Yeah.
information about their
All right,
about their
let me
allegiances
play
to
this
the-
for a minute and then we'll move on.
All right, play it.
فوق رؤوسنا
Sorry,
وما عندنا
sorry.
أي مشكلة وهذه رسالتي إلى اليهود أتمنى أن توصل وطبعا وأشكر الأجانب.
This is the most pathetic...
I'm just imitating. Guys, listen. I'm just imitating, all right?
terrorist propaganda bullshit I have ever seen. And the fact that you
Post
actually
Carol-
think this is
no.
credible is so hilarious to me.
No.
Dude,
Wow. Let's
look,
keep it going.
man,
No, I love
look.
this. This is great. Let him...
All right, just keep playing it. Keep playing it.
Yeah, he does sound like he's moaning, okay? Like
I don't
sexually.
know where the audio went. Oh, why was it? Sorry, hold on. We're having...
I pulled it back up.
Taylor Lorenz tweeted, "What's so crazy is that we tried to nab an interview with Rashad, the Yemeni teen who went viral for WAPO, before Hassan the Hun got the scoop. Ethan continues to chastise Hassan for legitimate journalism and an interview that half the MSM was chasing."
Well, first of all, Taylor Lorenz is a fucking hack loser who's obsessed with you, okay? Of course she would say that. She, by the way, what was the legitimate... Name one question you asked him that represents legitimate journalism.
Okay.
One question.
Great question. What do you feel about anti-Zionist Jews leading many of the anti-Israel protests in the United States of America?
That's your most important journalistic question, which he basically said they're
No,
cool.
you asked me one. I gave you one.
I don't think that... I mean, I find that to be insignificant, especially considering his answer. No follow-up questions? Why don't you ask him if he... Why don't you ask a follow-up question like,
Ethan,
do you not care if they're Zionist Jews? That they're Israeli Jews that support you?
I don't give a fuck if he cares if there's Zionist Jews or not.
What about why? Do you
Israeli
think?
Jews, what are you
What
talking
was the
about?
hard-hitting part about asking if he likes One Piece? Was that hard-hitting journalism?
No, it was
By the way, okay, I think that there needs to be a clear distinction made between Western anti-Semitism and Eastern and like Middle Eastern anti-Semitism, because I think that we compare so much about like we're trying to figure out what's Western anti-Semitism to the point where this completely foreign version of anti-Semitism is completely unbeknownst to us, right? Because when we think of Western anti-Semitism, we think of upplaying Winston Churchill as the true villain, downplaying Hitler's autonomy in choosing what to do with the Jews, upplaying Hitler's usage of meth and making decisions based off of being high with meth, right? These are all signs of Western anti-Semitism. There's a little bit of overlap between Western anti-Semitism and Middle Eastern anti-Semitism. But when we're talking about Middle Eastern anti-Semitism, there's a completely different set of symptoms, right? So even though you have like Islamists and Muslims that are worshiping Hitler, right, especially in terrorist groups, sure, that's a very clear sign. But at the same time, they also would say Zionist and Jew all together, right? They conflate the two terms. They also say, how do you say it? They also deny the pogroms. They also deny how dangerous it was to be a Jew in any of the Islamic countries, right? The outright denial of history. They also deny deny all sorts of things, okay? And these are all like these are all signs of Middle Eastern anti-Semitism that Western people are not familiar with. This is why Hassan gets to get away with so much, is because we're only familiar with Western dog whistles, not Eastern dog whistles. Yeah, if that makes sense.
It's called humanizing.
That was called cringe as fuck, glazing, pathetic.
Yeah, because you don't like when a fucking brown person gets a little bit of airspace.
Is that
and
right?
They look like a human being.
So you're resorting to calling me racist now. By the way, this dude's white as fuck. What are you talking about?
Ethan.
This dude's whiter than I am. What the fuck are you talking about, dipshit? Hold on, you accuse me of being racist. Are you talking about this guy?
Terrorist organization.
Are you talking about this guy?
Your wife is a part of the IDF. Do you think it's appropriate to call your wife a terrorist?
I think you do. No, I don't.
The
you don't think it's appropriate?
Weird, dude.
No.
Okay. You have stated time and time again that you believe, to show how pro-Palestine you are, that you believe settlers are valid military targets.
Right.
Who do you think is protecting the settlers who you claim are valid military targets?
It's fucking insane.
In the process,
yeah, it's horrible.
In the process
was
of
my
their
wife out there
pogroms that
protecting?
they're doing.
Sorry, was Ela out there protecting settlers?
No, she was doing a night raid, as a matter of fact, and I didn't know any of this until recently. For the record,
she
until
was
a couple months ago.
Yeah, you're gonna do the Raider of Ramallah snark bullshit. Go on. Yeah, your community doesn't harass anyone. She was 18 years old. She went on a ride along to Ramallah for some kind of fucking mission. She stayed in the car, and then they went back, and that's all that happened. She's 18 years old, bro. She's a secretary.
Of taking someone hostage, you called him it, by the way. That person was a Palestinian living in his own fucking home. And your wife
went on
a raid to Ramallah, which you have called a terror city.
Yeah, that was an old clip. I don't think Ramallah's a terror city.
Is your wife a valid military target in that process? Because you've said that settlers are valid military targets. Do you think your wife is a valid military target? Do you think your wife is a terrorist?
She's not a West Bank settler. She's not a West Bank settler.
But she's in the West Bank. Where's Ramallah, Ethan?
Bad Empanada thinks she's valid. Your friends over at Second Thought think she's a valid target.
Do you think she's a valid military target?
Do you think she's a valid military target?
There's inconsistencies
Do you think she's a valid military target?
I do not, as a matter of fact. I don't.
Okay.
Can we please move on to this the Nakba thing?
No, listen to me.
Hassan, bro, you're making this unwatchable.
Listen to me. Listen to me. Okay?
We got to move on.
How does this make sense in your mind? You say Israel is doing genocide. She has participated in the kidnapping of a Palestinian in the West Bank.
You don't know who was kidnapped and for what reason.
You say you hate the settlers.
Well, we don't know who was.
First of all, the settlers, Ethan. Your wife did.
Kidnapped. They arrested somebody. We don't know what happened or what they did. What if he fucking stabbed civilians? Doesn't that happen?
The process in which how people are arrested in the West Bank, Ethan?
Do Palestinian terrorists never stab and blow up civilians?
They're placed under military detention. They are not actually placed. They do not go through a civil court process.
Do Palestinian terrorists ever commit violence on civilians?
I don't like how it's negated that Hila didn't have a choice in military service. Yeah, makes you think, doesn't it? It's almost as if Hassan is implying that all Jews in Israel are bad. Interesting, isn't it? Interesting how he takes away the autonomy. Interesting how he assigns autonomy to things that they don't have a choice in. Don't you find that interesting? I find that interesting. Almost makes you think.
Aren't them being arrested?
They are not in the West Bank.
You don't know anything about this person or this raid.
In Ramallah, in Palestinian territory. Your wife was an illegal occupier of a terrorist organization, also known as the Israeli Occupying Force, Ethan. Now, I know people that have also served in the Israeli Occupying Force, as a matter of fact. I've relied on breaking the silence.
By the way, her name is Hila. I don't know if you keep doing your...
By the way, if you ever talked about like this to any kind of wife or anybody's wife, you would get punched in the face, okay? Like the fact that Ethan is letting him get away this much with slandering his wife like this much is insane, okay? Like if you talked about anyone's wife this much, especially if it's something you already know who they are, like this is unhinged, okay? Like, yeah, like I'm just saying, okay, all right. In real life, you would have been punched.
Why do you do that? Why do you keep referring to her as my wife? It's bizarre.
Okay, Gila, whatever. Who cares?
It just belies some really bizarre
random
thing.
shit.
It's not random at all. It says a lot.
Listen to my words.
Bro,
Listen to my words.
It's so
I
exhausting.
have no issue with someone as long as they have recognized their mistakes, as long as they recognize that that was wrong. What I take issue with is consistently defending Israel. You have also participated in the defense of Israel. It makes no sense. You're inconsistent. You say it's a genocide, but people can't resist militarily. You say it's a genocide, but all of the people who are outspoken are vile anti-Semites.
Ela was doing
Who is supposed to be able to resist against this genocide?
Hold the phone.
Do you actually think it's a genocide?
Ela was doing mandatory military service. What should she have done?
There's numerous options. One, religious exemption. Two, refusing to serve. But even then, I don't have a problem with her being socially conditioned into thinking that this is appropriate. I have a problem with what she's saying now. I have a problem with how she reflects on that. And
Foodshops, how they talk about his wife and how they want to separate him from his kids even has a lot of moral ground to dish out pain. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, like, dude. Yeah.
Doesn't realize that was an unjustifiable thing to do.
Okay, well, listen, you can talk to her and debate about it. I don't know what you're even referring to. Okay.
What?
I don't even know what the fuck you're referring to. You're just calling my wife a terrorist. Like, give me a break, dude.
No.
She did mandatory.
She has talked
Let me
on
ask
your
you a
podcast.
question. Hassan,
She's talked
please,
on your
you gotta
podcast
let me
about
talk.
how she went on a raid.
You have
she
to
was
let
bored.
me
She had
talk.
a
The fact
secretary
that you're
job.
just
It's
talking
mandatory
over me
conscription.
and
It was an
being
adventure
louder
for
does not
her.
mean you're right. I promise.
What?
Being louder and talking more does not mean you're right. Okay, it's good to listen to what I have to say. She's part of mandatory conscription.
Did Gila not volunteer? Did Gila not volunteer to go to the West Bank on a raid because she was bored? In Ramallah.
Yeah, she's 18. It's understandable. We don't know what that guy did, though. We don't know what the raid was for.
He could have been a
What if he
vicious
killed
terrorist
people?
monster.
Yeah. What if he killed people? Of course. If he killed people, of course he would be worthy of being arrested.
Ethan, is Ramallah a part of Israeli territory?
I mean, it's complicated, right? It's under occupation. No, I don't think so, but it's under occupation, right?
Okay. So why was your wife in Ramallah?
Wait, did Ethan say he thinks it is a genocide? Yeah, he did. He did say that. And I think he genuinely believes it, right? And I think it's good that he moved on from it, by the way. All right. I think it's good that they moved on, because otherwise Hassan is just going to go on his crazy rants again about like what is considered genocide and what isn't considered genocide. Like, I'm not saying that it's not like a valid line of questioning to go down, right? I'm sure there's lots of room here to explain why it's not a genocide or not, but you know, that just saves a lot of time, I think.
Maybe are getting a terrorist that killed civilians. She sat in a car.
It's not complicated.
She sat in a car and didn't even leave it and never did it again.
Your wife participated in an illegal raid according to international human rights. That is the reality. Now,
are you upset if this person killed like a child? Would you be upset if this person they arrested like stabbed people? Like, you don't know what you're talking about.
If she were to talk about,
okay, fine, my wife's a terrorist, bro. What the fuck? It's so boring.
No, stop. Listen to my words.
No, my wife is a terrorist.
How fucked up that is, as many former IDF vets have on breaking the silence. If she talked about the night raid that she participated in the same way that
just like Frogan says, I don't hate only the ones that regret it.
Talk about, I would have no issue with her.
Do you hope she gets PTSD
know why? Because
too?
I understand people can change.
I don't condone the raid, but I mean, see, neither of us have any information about like what actually happened. You know what I mean?
There is no. You don't understand. If she is illegally there, she is not supposed to be there. It does not matter. Her and her entire brigade was not supposed to be there.
I don't think she knew what they were doing.
As a matter of fact,
I don't think she knew what they were doing or where they were going.
What she participated in,
I don't think she knew where they were going or what they were doing.
What she participated in,
okay, she's a terrorist, bro.
Raid.
Please, we got to move on. This is
the reason why the Israeli occupying force, participates in these night raids in the West Bank.
You're making this unwatchable.
Is to create a constant feeling of terror.
Talking more does not make you right. Okay. You got to understand
the reason why the Israeli occupying force
you're repeating yourself.
participates in night raids is to create a constant sense of terror.
We don't condone it. She was 19. She was doing military conscription. She didn't know where they were going or what they were doing. Okay. Thank you. I'm listening, but you just keep repeating yourself. This is what you do.
The reason why
you got to move on. I want to have
the reason why I know that. Do you want to know why I know that?
Do you want this to be unwatchable? Is that what you want?
What?
Do you want this to be unwatchable?
The reason why I know that, Ethan,
I'm take that as a yes.
Breaking the silence veterans who have come out and spoken out against this practice. That's why I know that.
Hassan, you say that Ela could have gone to jail and done a conscientious objection instead of joining the army. Why do you pay taxes?
What?
Why do you pay taxes to the United States government?
This is your big argument, Ethan?
Answer the question.
That I pay taxes and I'm morally culpable? I know. That's why I try to fucking
why don't
fight
you go
against
to jail?
this goddamn government doing
why
this
don't you
shit
stand
every
up
day.
for your Hold on. Why don't you stand up for your principles and go to jail for it?
Because it would not actually stop, okay? It would not actually stop. The reason why I'm saying
what wouldn't stop?
I don't take issue with Hila's fucking actions then, as long as, just like you said, she was just 19 years old. I take issue with the fact that she still defends it on principle.
What does she
says
say?
the Israeli occupying force is not a terror organization. You have a disagreement with him.
Well, I think I think I can see it from her perspective too, which is like, you know, the problem with you is that everything's black and white.
You can't see it from Rashid al-Haddad's perspective.
Yeah,
and
he's a fucking terrorist who says he wants to kill Jews.
Also doesn't see
that
it,
you said
and
like
that's
Anne
why
Frank.
you can fucking constantly claim that he is a terrorist.
Oh my God,
your
bro!
wife,
Please, I want this to be watchable. Okay, let's move on, please. Thank you. You made your point. You made your point. Okay.
This is why I'll never understand why people watch Hassan. I just don't get it. Like, why is it that people watch Hassan? Like, is like this many people that stupid? Like, I feel like that has to be the only explanation, right? Of why people watch Hassan. It's just like, dude, how could you listen to this guy yap this much, dude? God damn, this guy has such a big mouth. So annoying.
So specifically, you said this, which is, you said in the context puke, you said this was the worst thing I did. So let me play it, okay? And then we can discuss.
More Jews displaced than Palestinians.
Let me go back
to 1948 countries
just to give the whole context.
Expelled them in massive amounts following the 1948 war. In fact, there was more Jews displaced than Palestinians.
This was one of the worst pieces of misinformation I've seen in the fucking context puke. For the record, it was crazy.
This specific, so again, nicely done. Let this guy hold your hand and formulate your opinions, but he's not here to help you, okay? So you tell me what was wrong with what was misinformation about saying that 900,000 Jews were displaced?
You make a comparison between Planned Dalit, which is a planned ethnic cleansing campaign, to one, horrify Palestinians inside of villages that had actually no arms whatsoever because they had specific peace agreements that they've done with Jewish villages.
What was the exaggeration?
By killing them,
no, this isn't a comparison
by massacring them.
What was fucking hell,
and then
bro? You are
letting
incapable
survivors
of answering
tell the tale. You asked me a question and I can't even fucking answer it. What are we doing?
It. You're not. You're just going on and on.
I am answering it.
What was the exaggeration?
Ethan,
about
sit the fuck
historical
down and listen to the
fact
history
of
lesson. Okay, you're gonna learn a little bit right now. Okay, Deir Yassin is Tantura. These are two very famous massacres that took place. the brigades, the military.
More like the massacre of my fucking eardrums.
Brigades, the Zionist brigades that then formed the IDF, including some that personally called themselves terrorists, by the way, Lihi and Irgun, went in and did horrifying mass rape, kidnappings, throwing people in ovens. And then the survivors left to tell the tale. In that process, these brigades would go to each individual city and forcibly ethnically cleanse 750,000 Palestinians. This is known as
what
the
Nakba. Fuck does that have to do with the Jewish refugees? Answer that question. I know what the Nakba is. I don't deny it.
Do you think that is even remotely?
I don't even think Hassan could say the Holocaust or like 9/11 was bad if asked. No, he would say it's bad, but it's because these are already accepted by the common public as that these are bad, right? The problem with Hassan is that with clearly bad things that are less known by the public, he is never going to concede to the fact that you're giving me a lot of maybe, yeah, fuck it. I mean, I don't know. Fuck it.
Comparable to Jewish people.
How is it not?
Leaving sometimes voluntarily, and sometimes because their governments had made
deals many left voluntarily?
Either Israel or France.
How many of the 900,000 left voluntarily?
I don't know the exact number of how many left voluntarily. Do you?
Take a guess.
Yes.
I would suspect that a big chunk of them, you're going to say, did not leave voluntarily, but that is not the case.
Well, you're lying and you're fucking dead wrong. Let me, you brought up the fact that I talked about what happened in Iraq. So let me give you a timeline of what happened in Iraq. 1932, they gain independence. 1934, Hebrew is banned. Jews are fired from government positions. 1938, Zionist activity is outlawed. Crimes as trivial as possessing a biblical map of the Holy One will send you to jail. The Farhud pogrom, inspired by neo-Nazis, Rashid al-Khalini killed 180 Jews. Hundreds were injured. Widespread looting, property damage. 1947, Jews were banned from immigrating because they didn't want them to go strengthen the state of Israel, and they wanted to...
Hey, Enter the Dragon Child. Welcome to the chat. Hassan's voice is tiresome. Yeah, it's making me fall asleep.
hold them prisoners against Israel and the West. In 1948, the war begins. Jewish banks were forbidden to transact with foreign countries. Jews were arrested for Zionist activity, for economic crimes. They were fines that were paid to the Ministry of Defense. In 1949, a month after taking office, the British learned that they were planning to expel the Jews from Iraq before they even left. Does this sound like volunteer? Does this sound voluntary? Does that sound voluntary?
Hassan just doesn't really know shit, does he? I mean, like, it's obvious this is the case, but yeah.
I sent you a clip.
No.
One of the most important scholars on this issue.
Oh my God!
Is
please.
an Iraqi Jew by the name of Avi Shlaim.
Yeah, I love this. Let's listen to him.
Okay, let's listen to it.
Yeah.
Jews were convinced that Israel had a hand in uprooting them. After the 1948 war, there was mounting popular hostility towards the Jews in Iraq. 5 bombs exploded in Jewish sites. The series of bombs created a panic which led more and more Jews to register to leave the country.
It was shocking how Hassan has been covering this issue for so long and knew nothing of substance. Well, because his entire news source is Twitter. It's fucking Twitter threads. It's embarrassing. It's preposterous.
An elderly friend of my mother's.
Yeah, Twitter. Yeah.
An Iraqi Jew called Yaakov Karkukli, who had been in the Zionist underground. One member of his group, Yosef Basri, a very, very intelligent Jewish lawyer, and his assistant, Shalom Saleh Shalom, were responsible for 3 out of the 5 bombs. Basri's controller was an Israeli intelligence officer named Max Binet.
Let's grant that what he's saying is true and that 3 of the 5 bombs were done by Zionists, right? How does that explain 150,000 people leaving the fucking country? What? Thousands of years of civilization that have been there.
Okay, so here we go. So here is when I want you guys to watch out for signs that he has Middle Eastern anti-Semitism, okay? So again, this is what's called Middle Eastern anti-Semitism. It is not as obvious as Western anti-Semitism to us, okay? But remember, he's gonna say crazy shit, such as, oh, Jews can just return back to their homeland, which is like Iraq or something, okay? Which is fucking insane. All right, let's just put it like that.
2,000 years, just picking up and leaving, almost virtually gone. How does that explain that?
Why is it
a few bombs?
By the way, there's like one, I'm pretty sure there's like one Jewish person who lives in Afghanistan or something. It's something crazy, yeah.
Israeli government, why is it the Israeli government benefited from creating instability and making it seem as though these countries were uninhabitable? And why do you think that, despite the fact that Iraq and numerous other countries have offered Israelis or Jews a right to return,
because they were being
failed on the Israeli front for numerous reasons?
Let me tell you an inconvenient fact for you,
Hassan.
Hassan.
At that conclusion.
Let me tell you an inconvenient fact.
I wonder why that happened.
Before the bombs went off,
being established.
Before the bombs went off, 100,000 of the 125 Jews were already registered to leave. You want to explain that?
Yes. Jews wanted to go to Israel, Ethan. They liked the idea
so let me hear what
But Foods, the Middle East is easily the most kind area to be in for a Jew. Yeah, you're right. You just have to cover yourself up every day, okay?
Okay, so
you like Israel.
Yeah, you're a liar. You're a disgusting fucking propagandist liar. Here's what Avi Shlaim actually said.
My research, I established that one bomb was lobbed, one hand grenade was lobbed by a young activist in the Istiklal party, which wanted to expel the Jews from Iraq and confiscate the properties. and another hand grenade was lobbed into the Masoud Hashem Tov synagogue, and there 4 people were killed. And he was a criminal who had a grudge against the Jews,
figured it out.
And it had nothing to do with the Mossad.
Did you hear that? The first 2 had nothing to do with the Mossad. But let's continue to listen to the respected scholar, Avi Schleim, you fucking liar.
Hold on.
No, you listen to this fucking historian. Yes, you said they left by choice. They left because of Zionism. They left because they were being threatened. Let's hear what your respected historian has to say, you liar.
That's right.
Wait,
even if all this is true,
don't we all wish that,
the main reason for the exodus was not the bombs, it was persecution by the government. And I concede that. It's not part of my argument that the bombs were the main reason for the liquidation of this community. But my answer to my Zionist critics is, even if I knew for certain that not a single Iraqi Jew left Iraq to go to Israel because of the bombs, I would still think this is a real indictment of the state of Israel, because Israel was created to provide a safe haven for Jews, not to be harassing and threatening Jews in other countries.
By the way, he said, and I'll quote it for you, "We did not leave Iraq because we were Zionists. We left because we were no longer safe." He wrote that in his book, 3 Worlds. Have you read that book?
No, I have not read 3 Worlds.
Okay, well, you're using a lot of source from it. It's a book that he wrote about his migration.
It's not the only book he wrote about this.
Yikes.
But go on.
Have you read any of the other ones?
Yes.
Really? Which ones?
The book that I'm referencing is from the Iron Wall.
3 Worlds, okay?
Yeah,
he writes about his time in Iraq. He writes about his time in Israel. He writes about his time in the UK. In 3 Worlds, he writes about his own family, and he describes their departure from Iraq as traumatic, disorienting, and not voluntary. They were not proud Zionist migrations. They were leaving out of fear.
Ethan.
He said that himself.
Ethan.
He said, we did not leave Iraq because we were Zionists. We left because we were no longer safe.
My friend,
Ethan,
you are failing to comprehend a very important reason why I brought up Avi Schleim, by the way. And
yeah, because you think he supports your claim, but he absolutely does not. That's why, because you're a fucking liar.
He absolutely
contend with what I said.
Hold on.
No. Contend with what I'm saying. He said we did not leave Iraq because we were Zionists. We left because we were no longer safe. Do you want to explain what he meant by that? Explain what he meant by saying we didn't leave because we were Zionists. We left because we were no longer safe.
Okay.
Explain to me.
I can't wait to bring up Avi Schleim on the broadcast to make you fucking look like a dumbass.
I can't wait to. And now explain what he means by that. We did not leave Iraq because we were Zionists. We left because we were no longer safe.
Iraqis are not Palestinian. You fucking moron. You racist piece of shit.
What?
Because Iraq and the pan-Arabic nationalist movements that arise out of
Zionist out of your mind
is not about Palestinians.
Okay, so what did the Jews in Iraq have to do with fucking Israel? You bigot. You are so out of your mind.
And then,
by the way, this is what I mean by Middle Eastern anti-Semitism, okay? Is when you deny the fact that Jews felt unsafe in these Middle Eastern countries because you are an Islamic supremacist, okay? When you are an Islamic supremacist, you will try to find different reasons to prevent saying, like, oh, Jews did not feel safe in the Middle East because you think that the Middle East is the most glorious, golden, amazing place to live, which is objectively very much untrue, okay?
Dude, you screaming and grandstanding doesn't mean you're right.
Iraqi government's racism during the pan-Arabic nationalist movements as a vindication for why, or a comparison as to why Israel had to do the Nakba.
Do you think
fucking racist piece of shit?
Thanks, Hassan.
Do you think Iraq? Do you think all Arabs have one fucking mind?
Why
is that what you think?
Were the Iraqi Jews leaving Iraq in fear?
Of course there were Iraqi Jews that left Iraq in fear. I've never said that there were no
Answer
Iraqi
the question.
Jews that left
You want to call me
fear.
racist? Why were Iraqi Jews leaving to go to Israel?
Because you're a fucking moron.
That's why they left. They left because I'm a fucking moron.
That Arabs are
Hassan,
not one-minded.
You coward.
That there
you
were numerous
coward.
pan-Arabic
Answer the question. You're going to call me racist, but you won't answer. Why did the Iraqi Jews leave Iraq?
There were numerous
because of
reasons why the Israeli government.
They hated Jewish people that had nothing to do with Israel. They were forced to leave. They were chased out. They lived there for thousands of years. They had businesses. They had homes that they were forced and abandoned to go to Israel because it was the only fucking place they could. Why would Iraqis hate the Jews living there if they had nothing to do with Zionism or Israel?
Yeah, like he has already accepted defeat, okay? His soul has already accepted defeat, but his brain, okay, whatever's left of it, has not yet accepted defeat.
Why?
Because settler colonialism
that has nothing to do with them, you absolute fucking dumbass.
Palestine, Ethan.
What does that have to do with the Iraqi Jews?
Do you think the Aliyahs were happening initially?
So it was there. So you're blaming them? Are you blaming the Iraqi Jews who had nothing to do with it? What the fuck is your point? You call me racist.
I'm not justifying the racism. I'm not justifying it. You're not comprehending my point.
Wait,
I've never justified that.
Iraq turned on them after 1948.
Ethan,
you're materially wrong. You're a liar.
I recognized that there were numerous reasons why other countries, I know, hard concept, all Arab, they all have the same mindset.
I know. Let's go over them,
genius. And their pan-Arabic nationalist movements as states
were
being designed
in Egypt,
mostly by Western
you want to
nations.
Talk facts? Let's talk facts.
Ethan,
and
you don't
Egypt.
know, you got fucking a ChatGPT summary. Let me explain to you.
How?
You fucking not look like
what do you
a
mean?
dumbass.
How?
Okay, do you want to listen or do you just want to add home?
No,
Jesus
I want to
Christ,
tell you
dude.
my perspective.
No, you want to talk. That's the problem. You don't want to listen. You've talked
You're supposed
plenty.
to be attacking my perspective.
You called me racist, bro. The least you can do is shut the fuck up and listen to me talk, okay? The Iraqi Jews left because they were in fear of anti-Semitism. They had nothing to do with Israel or Zionism. The Arabs in Iraq, the Iraqis, turned on them because of what happened in the war in 1948. They had nothing to do with them. So if you want to blame the Jews for their own anti-Semitism, you go right ahead, but that's racism. Now let's talk about Egypt.
I also recognize that.
No, you're not. You are absolutely not. In Egypt, 75,000 Jews were displaced. Okay? Following anti-Jewish riots and bombs in Egypt.
Is Egypt Palestinians? Is Egypt Palestinians? Is Iraq Palestinians? Why were the Palestinians
It's got
never
nothing to
allowed
do
to
with
return?
that. They were forced to go there by the Arab
one of these countries have offered the Jews that were expelled or left on their own
it's time
voluntarily.
To listen,
these are completely separate
Nobody's
countries.
justifying the
Nakba.
Packaging
them together.
No one is justifying the Nakba. I'm explaining how it's fucking insanely racist to discredit the plight, the running of discrimination.
I don't discredit the plight.
But I'm not justifying the Nakba. You seem to be justifying why Jews were chased out of their home country.
No, I'm not, Ethan.
Why'd they leave?
I'm not justifying that at all.
Why'd they leave?
You think that because you want to drive home a point that
why
this
did they leave their communities that have been there for
2,000
years, leaving their money, their businesses, their homes? Why did they leave?
I don't think you'll understand. Do you think Iraq is Palestine? Do you think Egypt is Palestine?
Nobody's defending the Nakba.
Do you think that all Arabs are operating on antiquated anti-Semitism? And if your answer is yes, why the fuck did Jews find the Ottoman Empire to be a safe haven for fucking hundreds of years?
Let's talk about the last 100 years. That's great. Yeah, the Ottoman Empire was great for the Jews. Let's talk about the last 100 years. Let's talk about 1948. Anti-Jewish riots broke out after the war. Hassan, you need to shut the fuck up and listen, okay? After the war.
Oh my God.
After the war, okay, in 1948, there was anti-Jewish riots and bombs in Egypt. Why was that? Because of the Jews? The Jews brought it on themselves? Following the establishment of the Israel.
I never made that inference. What are you talking about?
Of course you did.
No, I didn't. I did not make that inference at all.
So they left because Zionism.
No, Ethan, if you were to listen to my words, and I use them very carefully, even though I get heated sometimes.
Right.
Okay?
Oh, this is great.
Egypt, Iraq, Morocco, each of these countries where Jews lived in the MENA region all the way to the Levant had different reasons. Some of them were direct pogroms. Others were the colonial.
You are a tangibly, historically proven
wait,
liar.
Do you think that Jews,
and I feel
I just said that some of them were because of pogroms. You're not hearing anything I'm saying. You're so conditioned into saying liar
the amount
that you're undermining your own point.
The amount that left because of Zionism was minute. They were chased out. They were forced to become Zionists.
Yeah, like pretty sure other people have pointed this out, but like the Jews that were living there for like thousands of years, right? It was literally their ancestral home. Like there's no reason for them to leave unless like they were actually afraid. So yeah, like I really don't think someone would just want to leave, right? Like like there's just no reason to. There's no point. So yeah, like what a absolutely ridiculous fucking point, right? Makes absolutely no sense.
By their oppressors because they had nowhere.
Do you think this will have any consequences in Hassan's career? Yes, I hope so. And if not, then you know I don't think anything can harm his career at that point because yeah. And here's the thing, right? Like I think that people need to be taught that this is actually who Hassan is. I think people actually need to be told that, yeah, this is who Hassan is. Hassan was never on your side. Yeah.
Else to go. In Egypt, following the establishment of Israel in May 1948.
Ethan, none of these countries are Palestine.
That is
none of these
insanely irrelevant point. A series of bombs targeted Jewish areas in Cairo between June and September. They killed 70 Jews,
that's my point.
Injured 200. They confiscated Jewish-owned businesses and synagogues were attacked and destroyed. Okay?
Ethan.
In 1956, the Suez Crisis.
One is direct violence. Direct planned violence and an extermination campaign.
Approximately 25,000 Jews were expelled from Egypt.
Falsely misplaced hostility.
25,000 Jews were expelled
from other countries.
So are you blaming them?
You don't understand.
Hold on. Are you blaming the Jews for getting? Are you blaming the Jews for being expelled from Egypt? 25,000 of them?
No, Ethan. If you listen to my words, you would understand.
So what is it I exaggerated about? 900,000 Jews were displaced.
Because you are making a comparison with different countries.
No, I'm not.
Versus.
I hope it's like very clear now that like Hassan is very much a hardcore tanky, right? Like I don't even think this is the behavior of a light tanky. This is the behavior of a heavy tanky. Like in my opinion, like this is as tanky as you can be, pretty much. All right, like Jesus Christ,
one
dude.
Singular force that planned an extermination campaign, planned an ethnic cleansing campaign. Other countries and the reaction to it, or other countries and the previous hostility to.
I mean, here's the thing: lots of people will get platformed, even though like. Like they've been provably disproven many times at this point. I guess the real, the real fact here is that like he just won't be able to formulate any bridges, because at the end of the day, Twitch will always have Hassan's back, whether you like it or not. Like Twitch is basically Hassan's domain now.
Towards Jews have nothing to do with Palestinians. So
of
making
course
this
not. That's why it's anti-Semitic.
That's
why it's anti-Semitic. It has nothing to do with Palestine, but they still got kicked out for being Jewish. That's literally what anti-Semitism.
I don't think you understand.
1,000 Jews in Egypt were arrested and detained without charges. The government seized 500 Jewish-owned businesses and froze bank accounts. The expelled Jews were compelled to sign a declaration donating their property to the Egyptian state and were allowed to take only minimal personal belongings. In Algeria, 130,000 Jews were expelled. Upon the independence,
that's not Palestine. They're not. They're just Arabs. They're not the same fucking people.
So my point is very simple. They were expelled from their homes because of anti-Semitism.
Ethan, you used Egypt as an example.
What is wrong about that?
Half of these countries that you're pointing to in the time when Jews were leaving were literally controlled by English and French. By the English and French colonial occupations. What are you talking about?
They were expelled because of anti-Semitism. What did I say wrong?
Go ahead. My God.
Go ahead.
Algeria was under French occupation. It is the design where the French occupied Algeria did not squash the attempts of expelling Jews. I'm not saying that there wasn't.
Most Algerians were French citizens and went to France.
That caused Jews to feel unsafe, Ethan.
95% of Algeria's 140,000 Jewish population.
Individual, often, sometimes Western powers and what they allowed in those countries on the Palestinian plight when you make this comparison. That's what I'm saying.
Is it anti-Semitic for Jewish people to get kicked out of their home?
The Armenian genocide, right? The Turkish, the Ottoman Empire and the forces and the Ottoman genocide that they conducted, a mass extermination campaign, is because other fucking random countries where
No,
Armenians
Iraq happened after independence and as a
equally dispelled, or Turks were getting dispelled in other countries.
The pogrom
That's
happened as a
ironically the same
direct
fucking thing that
result
that's the way
of
that
the
it was
war,
taught
bro.
in the past, that it was a
By the way, did you say
necessary voluntary migration?
By the way, did you?
Because
oh my God, bro! Did you say Anne Frank died before she could resist? I don't know if that was a fever dream.
Wait, I'm saying that, like, would you have an issue with Anne Frank if she actually was able to?
I just thought it was an insane thing to say. I'm not trying to litigate it. And Tripoli.
Wait,
Anti-Jewish
why'd you bring
rights
it up?
broke
your
out
point?
amid post-war unrest. Synagogues were burned. Jewish institutions were shut down.
What's your point about Anne Frank? Why are you trying to deflect away from what I'm saying here?
No, I just think that statement was insane. The Six-Day War backlash. In 1967, another Israel victory. Jewish communities got mobbed. 6,000 Jews were evacuated. Homes were destroyed. Synagogues were burned. In Morocco, 250,000 Jews were expelled. Anti-Jewish riots broke out in 1948. You'll notice all the.
What was that? That was probably like a fly or a bug or something.
Most of these pogroms are happening in 1948 as a direct result of the war.
Wacky.
The Arabs turned on their Jewish populace out of anti-Semitism. Period. Point blank. June 7 to 8, 1948, in northeastern Morocco, following the declaration of the state of independence, the state of Israel on May 14, 1948. Anti-Jewish riots erupted in the town of Jarada. These towns were significant transit points for Moroccan Jews seeking to immigrate. 47 Jews were killed. Many were injured. Jewish homes and businesses were looted and destroyed. In 1950-1960, harassment and immigration. The year following 1948 riot, Moroccan Jews faced increased pressure. These factors contributed to a significant immigration of Jews from Morocco. Immigration to Israel was banned in 1959. But before that, 274,000 Moroccan Jews immigrated primarily to Israel. Yemen and Aden.
Remember when you said you weren't a
50,000.
Remember when you said you weren't a Zionist? These are direct Zionist talking points.
This is historical facts, literally spread by your very own Avi Schleim, who, if I'll quote it back to you, said, we didn't leave because we were Zionists. We did not leave because we were Zionists. We left because we were afraid.
Appropriate, Ethan. That's the difference. If you asked Avi Schleim whether it is comparable to say the Nakba and the 900,000 Jews that
I'm not defending the Nakba.
From separate countries, he would laugh at you.
Your failure
Do you not understand?
to acknowledge the trauma of both groups is the reason why you are a radical fucking propagandist liar. Both trauma needs to be acknowledged by both groups.
Oh, I don't know all that much about the Ottoman Empire. So Seth just said the Ottoman Empire was already done by the start of World War II. It doesn't have nothing to do with migration to Israel because Israel was established 30 years before. Okay.
There's two things that need to be true for this ever to be resolved peacefully.
You're right.
Palestinian self-determination and the Israelis' right to have secure borders.
Zionism
as long as you ignore that, there will always be war. Palestinians will always die, and you will continue to make money from it. Operation Magic Carpet. Jews were secretly airlifted to Israel due to rising hostility. 50,000 were relocated. In Tunisia, 130,000 after
the PLO did recognize that, and they wanted those countries to actually do a right to return for all Jews. Why did Israel stop that from happening, Ethan? Don't you think that Zionism is the problem here?
Avi Schleim said,
quote, what happened? They didn't fucking send you that clip? They didn't send you that fucking piece of information?
Dude,
so the PLO, Yasser Arafat, the people that don't care.
Is this Zionism thing like a fucking, God, dude. Is this Zionism talking point like a fucking projection on Hassan's part? Like, I'm beginning to think this is just pure projection, right? Because there's no shot, like, in my opinion, right? There's no shot that, like, he keeps on repeating how, like, oh, it's because of Zionism. It's because Zionism. Like, no, bitch. It was because they were scared for their life. Like, it's 100% because he's a fucking Islamic supremacist, right? He's a fucking Arabic supremacist. He's a he's a fucking Islamic like the fucking Taliban. Like, unironically, Hassan is kind of like the Taliban, right? Like, he's more Taliban-like in his beliefs than he thinks he is. Jesus Christ, dude. The Ottomans were very oppressive to Jews throughout their time. Okay. I believe that. Everyone was. He just needs Zionism to be the one bad thing in history. Yeah, like, it's almost like class reductionism if, you know, instead it was like Zionist reductionism, like everything can be reduced down to Zionism. Like, that's fucking unhinged, dude. Jesus Christ, chill the fuck out.
Jewish plight actually
It's
did
anti-Semitic
see
as
the guy
fuck.
who oversaw the second Intifada. What the fuck are you on about?
To be able to go back and do a right to return if they wanted to do so into their nation of origin.
I'm talking about the flights,
and yet
bro.
Israel was the one
you
who didn't
deny the
want that to
flight
happen.
of Middle
Why
Eastern
is that the
Jews.
case, Ethan?
No, you deny the flight. You deny the trauma of Middle Eastern Jews.
I don't deny the flight,
You
Ethan.
absolutely
You
deny the trauma.
You are attributing.
No, you deny
you
that they
making
left
a
by.
comparison
You've tried to say that they
between-
left by choice. That is an gross historical inaccuracy.
There are Jews that left by choice.
Yes,
that is
some
true.
did. Of the
There are Jews that
900,000, the vast
absolutely
majority left because they were afraid. Because they were being discriminated against. That is a historical fact. 6-day war aftermath.
Have you ever actually listened to a clip of me talking about this?
What?
Oh my God! You have no idea what my perspective on this is. You're just fucking yelling at nothing.
Well, what are you doing right now? What are you wasting time for, buddy?
This is the reason why you're
I have heard you talk about it time and time again.
That I don't actually believe.
Bro, you are continually, not acknowledging the trauma of Middle Eastern Jews. You characterize it like they left.
Have you ever listened?
Yes, I've seen it.
Have you ever listened to anything that's not 30 seconds long?
Bro. That's so ironic that you're saying that as you misquote Avi Schleim, who said he fled because he was afraid and not because of Zion. Here's the clip.
Over and over again.
Clip.
But you're too busy trying to get a gotcha here, so you can fucking farm a clip. But everyone's still gonna think you're a fucking loser, dude.
Clip.
I'm sorry. Just shut up and listen if you want to actually hear my perspective.
I'm shutting up and listening to you.
Okay, thank you.
The Iraqi Jews, because when anti-Semitism increases in the West, Israel sees that as a complementary tool to its Zionist project, Zionist ambition of bringing either all Jews to Israel, or at least make Jews in the Western world that are outside of Israel, Jews in diaspora, support Israel, because it gives additional credence to the argument. It gives additional credence to the argument that no Jew is ever safe if there is no Jewish state. That is the underpinning of the Zionist project.
That's not even, dude, it's because, dude, unironically, right? Like, unironically, that's kind of the truth, isn't it? Right? Like, if you really are kind of thinking about it, are any Jews safe anywhere? Except for maybe Brooklyn? We don't include Brooklyn, okay?
In general.
Downtown
Why did
New
you
York.
not mention the anti-Semitism? You exclusively talk about Zionism being the reason for forcing them out. Why do you deny that they were expelled by force, the vast majority of them?
Ethan, if you think that that is the entirety of my perspective on this matter,
illuminate me.
You please need to stop talking and listen to the amount of times that I've talked about this.
Bro, just explain yourself.
I'm trying.
I just watched a clip of you being pretty dismissive about the flight. And by the way, you've done it this whole time. You say that Zionism was the main force.
No, I'm dismissive about the aspect that this is beneficial to the Zionist project across the board, because Israel wants all Jews to be constantly fucking terrified in any other country that's not Israel.
For once a Hassan analysis, I actually agree with it. Really? Wait, I can't tell if you're being sarcastic here. I don't know if Hassan is just being dishonest and stupid as a strategy to keep spreading propaganda, or he is just stupid. Well, I mean, I think he's actually just, like, on purpose being obtuse. Like, he's just instinctively denying what Ethan Klein is saying because he can't perceive, he doesn't want to live in a reality where he might have to own up to the fact that he is wrong. I think it's purely an ego thing where he doesn't want to live in a reality where he might be incorrect. He doesn't want to be incorrect, right? It took his entire soul to say, like, hey, yeah, you know what? I'm willing to admit that I'm wrong when it comes to Russia invading Ukraine, right? It took him his entire ego for him to admit something like that. So yeah, like, fuck, you know, like it does seem as though that everything hinges on how his ego feels, right? Yeah, like whether or not he'll acknowledge genocides or acknowledge anything, it's just, yeah. It's like Shops denying that she likes Leaflet for ego. Isn't she like 40? I'm just not into people that old, all right? Give me someone who's like 8. Jesus. I'm kidding. Okay.
So that they can actually go and either support Israel if they're not in Israel, or just move to Israel. That is the entire point. That is what That is what Jabotinsky wanted. That is what Herzl wanted. And that is precisely what Benjamin Netanyahu wants as well. So in terms of my explanation or what I come...
In your office foods? What? Hello? What's up?
Hey, no, so
Oh,
I was
Jesus.
like a little bit behind. I do technically agree a little bit on the on Israel's. I wouldn't say it's Israel's policy. I'd say it's Israel's the government policy, because they've
What do you
been
mean?
very to whenever there's an attempt to make no Jewish person feel safe without the state of Israel to exist. I kind of think that that analysis is a little bit correct. I think that's what the Netanyahu government kind of pushes.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Like, Netanyahu's government is pretty fucking crazy. But
Yeah,
I
I
guess,
mean,
yeah, I mean, like, that's not entirely incorrect, but at the same time, it's like, you can't really blame them for pushing something like this because, like, I just can't really think of a place on Earth where, you know, like, like where Jews can actually be safe. I don't know, like, maybe it's, I
like
think,
most of New York.
well, yeah, but not everyone can be in fucking America, New York, right? Like,
Yeah,
obviously.
no, I mean, if it's
Yeah.
if it's like like the general sentiment that like anytime there's an attack on a Jewish person anywhere in the world, the Netanyahu government will jump on it to establish our ethnostate. It's a bit like what it's like what
Oh,
I don't know.
yeah, sure.
It's
Don't get me wrong, right? Like, I'm here shitting on Hassan, but you know, I think anyone who is a Zionist who, you know, fucking is very extreme in their Zionism would probably be a little fucking cringe, right? And I would also take issue with them if they try to rewrite stuff. Yeah.
oh yeah. That was
Yeah.
the only reason why I was like, oh, there's like one Hassan take that I've just heard apparently that I guess I could kind of agree with. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I mean, sure, but at the same time, it's like it's kind of like saying Hassan goes like, "Oh, water's wet" or something, right? Or, "Oh, the sky's blue," right? Like, yeah, he technically says something true there. Like, of course, Israel, being a Jewish state, is gonna try to appeal towards how safe it is, right? Even though it's probably not true either entirely, right?
yeah,
Like, the
it's
thing is, yeah, like, no shit, right? But the thing is, you know, like, I feel like every single ethno state technically will try to appeal towards the fact that, oh, it's the safest for its type of people, right? Like,
well,
I
yeah,
feel
I
like
mean,
that's always going to be the case.
Look at how South Africa like propagandized the fuck out of Rhodesia to the point that now you have white nationalists talking about how, well, look at what happened to the white farmers of Rhodesia, and it's like that's like almost a complete myth.
Wait,
Like
in South Africa? What do you mean?
South Africa used to be like, oh well, we're the only place that's like safe for like the true whites in Africa
Uh,
back when they were apartheid.
oh, okay, okay. I mean, I don't know whether or not that's true, but yeah, I mean, sure, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they would and they would enforce bans on like it's actually referenced in like one of the fucking Lethal Weapon
Wait,
movies.
hold
They used
on,
to
hold on,
enforce
hold
bans.
on, hold on, hold on, hold on.
Mhm.
Aren't you I'm sorry, aren't you like some kind of like nationalist of some kind or whatever? Like, are you still that or like that unironically, or is that are you just like joking around when you say that's the case?
I'm joking around. I don't want a monarchy.
Oh. Oh, okay, because I'm not entirely sure, okay? Because you were talking about how you liked Nick Land or
If
something. I don't
anything,
know.
no, if anything, I would probably be considered like a civic nationalist softly, I guess.
Okay, 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 that sounds made up, but yeah, okay, I got you.
What? No, it's just I don't know.
Like, what does
My
that even
politics are
mean? Yeah, I don't care anymore. Yeah,
yeah. Anyways,
yeah.
but that's the only take that I have. By the way, I'm gonna clip the 8-year-old one thing that you
Okay,
said.
cool. Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Have a
Yeah.
good rest of your stream.
Okay, see you later, grooming victim. Bye.
Oh yeah, I'm number 4. Awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Bye.
My fourth grooming victim. Bye. Okay, see ya. Yeah.
across as dismissive is precisely the role that Israel itself played in this process.
Which was
It was a mutually beneficial relationship. That anti-Semitic pogroms.
Minuscule. What you fail to acknowledge is that the Jews were forced to become Zionists, not by choice, but by necessity, because the Arab countries turned on them after the war and forced them to go to the only state that they could go to.
It's a necessity for Israel to exist, which is what your position is, right?
No, it's not about what was allowed or not. The Arabs created a million Zionists because they're anti-Semitic after the war of 1948 and fucking the rise of Arab nationalism. Do you deny that?
You brought up
Do you deny what I just said?
Wait, say
do
it again.
you deny what I just said?
What? Say it again. I wasn't listening.
900,000 Jews, approximately 700 to 900,000, were forced to become Zionists, not by choice, but because they were forced out. The vast majority went to the fucking Arabs. The anti-Semitic Arabs.
There you go.
There you go. What? That's my point. Are you okay?
I rest my case.
Okay, well, I mean, you can...
No, you're too fucking delusional to realize what kind of racist nonsense you're fucking chirping on. That was my entire point.
Historic.
Thank you.
I mean, it's historical. You don't know anything of what you're talking about. Avi Schleim, once again, because you don't want to contend, you like to use him when it's convenient, he left not because they were Zionists. They left because they were afraid.
Yeah, fucking Arabs. What was Avi Schleim, by the way?
Yeah, he was an Arab Jew. They didn't see him that way. They kicked his ass out. I'm not saying fucking Arabs. There's a reason for it. There was a rise in Arab nationalism following the 1948 war. They blamed their own Jewish populace for what Israel did. That's anti-Semitism. They had nothing to do. Do you think the Iraqi Jews left their 2,000-year-old communities, left their businesses, left their houses because they wanted to go to Israel? Are you fucking mad?
Ethan,
you
remember
deny.
a while back I tweeted and you got really mad when I said that there's a double standard between Islamophobia and anti-Semitism.
Absolutely a double standard, and you exhibit it, my friend.
And you're participating in it right now without even recognizing that you're doing so.
I mean, I'm just telling you literally what happened.
It's historical racism. All Arabs are not responsible.
Do people never get racist? Do people never be
no.
I'm explaining why. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just explaining why. After the 1948 war, the rise of Arab nationalism created a lot of anti-Semitism, and that's why the vast majority of the Jews, the 900,000 of them, were forced to immigrate. That's a fact. That is a historical fact.
Ethan, I'm sorry to say this, and I don't know if your audience gets this as well, but what you just said earlier is not an accurate reflection of history. It's just pure racism.
How do you know that?
How
do you know that it's not real?
Shifting the blame over to the entirety of Arabs.
Absolutely was the blame of the Arabs.
At a time when every single one of these Arab countries,
their
own version of pan-Arabic nationalism, half of them were already still controlled, by the way, by fucking European colonial powers like Vichy France.
That was literally just in Tunisia.
The Moroccan expulsion program, and you're using that as a similarity between the planned expulsion of 750,000 Palestinians.
Yeah, I mean, the details are different, but you're denying, like, once again, you're
still
not disproving me. What did I say
is
hilariously racist and wrong?
Anti-German racism.
Don't make an analogy. Tell me why I'm wrong.
It's like pointing to anti-German racism.
I don't need an analogy. I need facts from you. Why am I?
Ethan pairs blatant anti-Arab racism as valid arguments. Hassan brings up Schleim's commentary on his end, and after the conversation that shows succinctly how people left for Israel of their own will. Yeah, no shit. Okay, technically, if I was a Jew in Nazi Germany, like, of course, of my own will, I want to go to America, right? Like, technically, of my own will, but it's of my own will out of fear, right? Of course. Duh.
Wrong.
It's as though you are pointing to anti-German racism happening during the fucking German conquest.
Tell me a fact, right, that proves that I'm wrong. That the vast majority of Jews fled because of anti-Semitism in the Arab states.
Saying.
Oh, really?
It's not what you're saying.
So I didn't say anything wrong.
I take issue with.
I didn't say anything wrong. I didn't say anything wrong, but I'm racist.
It's the idea that all Arabs are fucking one-minded and have something to do with Palestinians in general. Yes, I never said that there wasn't fucking anti-Arab, anti-Jewish sentiment. That also
were the vast majority of Jews. Did they leave because of anti-Semitism or Zionism?
The vast majority of Jews
Did they leave?
Regardless of whether or not they left for anti-Semitism or Zionist purposes, is not comparable to the Nakba.
You're not answering. Did they leave
because
of
anti-Semitism? It is not comparable to the Nakba.
I don't care. That's got nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I'm not comparing them.
And by the way, they're both talking about. You made that comparison unique. To say to make it seem as though it was a much larger
because
crime
people like you ignore the trauma of the fact that
countries.
You want to tell that people in Israel to go back to where they came from. This is where they're from. They were forced to go to Israel.
They could right now. They could go tomorrow.
Really? The Iraqi Jews can go back to their home tomorrow.
This was another crazy moment. Dude, it's like what? You think they're gonna move back? Like it's their fucking summer house? Like does he think that they have a summer home back in Iraq or something? And then they just have to move back to Iraq to their summer home? Like where exactly are we getting at here? Ethan isn't making the you think he is here, and also the comparison to the Nakba is precisely how Ethan brought up this whole point. Okay, I don't get the grammar in which you made that, but good luck. I don't know. Sorry.
The Egyptian Jews can go back to their homes tomorrow.
Absolutely.
That is insane. You are fucking out of your mind.
Yes, they can.
Okay, how? Tell me how. How did the Jews go back to their...
They don't want to, and I understand why they wouldn't want to, because America fucking invaded and destroyed Iraq. But yes, they could.
How? How would they go back and reclaim their lost assets, their lost property?
There were literally different schemes designed
and by the way, how did they become citizens?
At different points throughout this 76-year-long, drawn-out apartheid structure, there were numerous instances where, yes, there was a right to return offered to Jews, and even restitution.
Why is he saying it like that?
The homes that they lost in the process. So yes, you're wrong. You simply don't know the facts. You are wrong.
You won't say what fact I'm getting wrong.
I just told you.
Did the vast majority of Jews immigrate to Israel following 1948 because of Zionism or because of anti-Semitism?
No. Don't run away from this point.
Answer the fucking question.
I don't discount anti-Semitism as a direct consequence of pan-Arabic nationalism that took place in numerous countries.
Answer the question.
I have issues with your comparison. Okay?
Who's comparing? You keep saying that. I'm not talking about the Nakba.
I'm
talking about your unwillingness to recognize Jewish plight.
And you brought really that up deliberately to say more Jews were displaced than Palestinians
I think that's an interesting fact that you clearly don't fucking ever want to mention because it really messes up your beautiful little narrative.
Why would you? So what? Why did you bring that fact up right after you talked about the 1948 war?
Because the point is that two people were traumatized.
I think that comparison is disgusting.
There was two people that were traumatized. There was two people that were displaced unfairly. It was the Palestinians and it was the Middle Eastern Jews. They both have trauma. You failed to acknowledge one group. You shit on the other one. Unlike you, acknowledge both groups.
All
true.
You're all lives mattering the Nakba.
What?
All true.
That isn't.
What? That's what you're doing, and you're also attributing.
How am I?
How? Like, what do you mean? Both can be true at the same time. Like, what the fuck?
Doing that.
You're attributing anti-Semitic violence in different countries
at the same time following 1948 pan-Arab nationalism. You said that yourself. These 5 Arab countries were defeated in 1948 and they turned super fucking anti-Semitic as a result. They became ultra-nationalist Arabs. It became popular. As Israel declared independence, they said, fuck no, we don't want this country here. And yeah, they all became anti-Semitic. That's a historical fact that you denied.
You also failed to recognize that Iraqi Jews have been allowed to return to Iraq, and there have been numerous instances where Jews were given an opportunity to return if they wanted to.
How many Jews live in Iraq?
What?
How many Jewish
people? I don't know. I think
people?
It's 0 right now, but they can.
How many Jews live in the Middle East outside of Israel?
Why would it?
Virtually none. Where'd they go?
Why would Iraqi
if it was so fucking great for them?
Why would Iraqi Jews not want to go to Iraq, you think, right now?
0 Jews, almost virtually 0 Jews live outside of Israel in the Middle East. Why is that? You don't think that none of them wanted to fucking stay at home?
I don't know. Maybe because there was a religious ethno-supremacist state that was backed by a lot of Western states as a direct destabilizer.
Someone should call Ethan a centrist after making this point. Maybe I should call Hassan a centrist for saying that NATO is encroaching upon Russia. All right, maybe I should say that. Maybe I should say like, hey, by the way, dude, don't you know that NATO and Russia are like basically the same here? Don't you know that? Don't you understand that? That's how he sounds like. I'm sorry.
That's in the fucking region with mass migration happening, especially, of course, mass migration happening, and then in the aftermath of the Holocaust, with a shit ton more refugees coming in, was a much more viable state for them.
Here's the problem:
the viability of said state, of course, is partially a consequence of the other countries and the hostility.
Wait, the one Jew living in Afghanistan is no longer there? Why? Did they move? Did they disappear? What happened?
Felt towards
you don't want to blame
people.
the Arabs.
This
Okay,
in and of itself,
it's
in and of itself is the heart of the problem, because people conflate Zionism with Judaism, and
that's what the Arabs did when they kicked them all out.
I know, and I don't think it's appropriate.
And so why are you blaming the Zionists and not the fucking Arabs for being racist?
Taliban?
Why do you deny the Jewish trauma? Why do you?
Dude, you can't make this up, dude. I mean, true. No, that's right. That's true. That's right. That sounds right. That sounds right. That sounds about right. I mean, point proven, right?
Deny the 900,000 traumatized Jews that were forced, including, by the way, what you keep ignoring, Avi Schleim. Avi Schleim said we didn't leave Iraq because we were Zionists. We left because we were afraid. Are you hearing that?
Ethan, do you blame the English for the Holocaust?
What?
No.
My ninja.
Who did the Holocaust, Ethan?
Just fucking make your point. I'm not playing this silly game.
Come on, who did the Holocaust? Just say it.
Make your point, dude. I'm not a fucking.
Why not? I'm asking you a question.
Who did the Holocaust?
It's a super simple question.
Avi Schleim said we left Iraq because.
I asked you who was responsible for the Holocaust.
Why would I answer such a stupid rhetorical question? Just make your point.
What, you know the answer to this, right? Like, come on, what are you looking at on your fucking computer? Like, which country is responsible for the Holocaust?
What?
Anytime you want to make your point,
brother.
I would appreciate. I would appreciate if you.
What is happening, dude? Dude. When you already okay here, whatever you said.
I would appreciate if you would just listen to one thing I would say.
You already said that it wasn't the English, right? It's not the responsibility of the British that the Holocaust happened, right? You understand that? You recognize that?
Yeah, you shouldn't be playing these games, okay? Like, it's very clear. It's just so stupid, dude. I just can't. It's so stupid.
Right?
Well, I would say the nation most directly guilty for the Holocaust was probably Nazi Germany.
Okay.
No way,
Did you just
really?
read that from your laptop?
No, I'm eloquent, unlike your dumbass.
I mean, yes, it is. Okay. Notice how you don't actually
I'm fabulous, bitch.
Put every single fucking country. There was plenty of anti-Semitism in England too. Notice how you don't fucking say all Europe. All of Europe is responsible for the Holocaust.
Hitler in the same room.
You say all Arabs.
Okay.
The point is,
there's no Jews in the Middle East.
Anti-Semitic.
Can you listen to one thing? I have one thing important to say that I really want you just to listen to, okay? Avi Schleim said they did not leave Iraq because they were Zionists. They left because they were afraid.
Yes.
No,
you are denying his family's trauma. You are blaming his family's trauma on Zionists.
Will you talk to him about this?
Sure. I mean, he's going to agree with me. I read it from his fucking book.
If you're so confident in everything, if you're so confident in all of this, okay, that would be great. All right. Perfect. Okay.
So listen. I'll debate all these people instead of you. I have time. Unfortunately, like I said, it's getting late, so I just want to make one last point before we go, which is that always remember, Hassan, that when people criticize me, I watch it on my stream by myself live, unlike a bitch-made coward like yourself, who needs someone to hold your hand, make all the excuses in the world to avoid any single criticism, any response. You, my friend, are a coward, and I am the fucking legend that responded to it live with zero hesitation. But you know why? Because I'm not a liar. I don't have to think about the shit that I say and justify it. You lie. That's why you can't do it, because you'll get caught in those lies.
5-hour endeavor made you look good, then congratulations.
You don't think you don't think it was good that you don't think that it was a supreme confidence that I responded to it immediately live?
Ethan, it took you 4 months to actually entertain the notion of having a conversation with me. I don't give a fuck about watching YouTube videos. I don't know why you think that I'm afraid of watching your fucking YouTube videos. You watch 11 hate videos on your channel. 11 hate videos. I've watched 0 about you, Hassan. Do you want to actually discuss who's the coward? You made the hate videos, dumbass! Your fucking community is the hate community. Why the fuck would you have to watch hate videos or whatever? You are the one who was doing it.
When criticism comes, I confront it.
Well, thank you for backtracking on at least 7 of the points. Maybe we should go through the context puke one more time so we can
if you want to watch it,
continue this conversation later. Okay.
Listen, if you want to watch it,
I'll hold your hand through all the other dumb shit that you said in it. It's not because I'm afraid. It's because you were crying.
No, it is definitely because you're afraid. Why is it you didn't pull? Why is it you love Ban Empanada, but when he makes a video criticizing you, you say I'm not watching that?
Because I think it's. You want to know why? Because I think it's fucking unproductive to
watch criticism of me, you fucking coward. What are you saying?
Because you're fucking presenting yourself and developing an audience that is literally, without even realizing it, because they are only drama obsessed, without realizing it, they're literally positioning themselves to be pro-Israel, to repeat pro-Israel talking points. Yes, that is the only reason why I started talking about you. Because you went on a fucking deplatforming campaign.
Why did you not watch Bad Empanada's video about you? You watched all of it.
You did 110 Instagram stories on me, Ethan, since January 31st, 2025.
24 hours, bro.
That you didn't even recognize.
You need to at least admit that it's reciprocal. I am not upset. You made 24 hours of nonstop content, bro.
Ethan,
24 hours in the last 2 months.
Just on your own personal Instagram
We've talked about each other equally as much, bro.
January 31st, 2025, 110 stories. It was so insane, you didn't believe it.
Even if
you don't even believe your own mania.
Hassan,
please, for the love of God.
Hassan, you talked about me 24 minutes a day, every day, 7 days a week for 60 days. Does that sound fucking reasonable?
After you presented yourself as a fucking significant force trying to literally deplatform pro-Palestinian
How much time do you think it makes an Instagram story?
That's why. And that's you literally.
Why didn't you watch a Bad Empanada video about yourself?
Your own producers were begging you to stop talking about me, so much so that you had to set up a separate war room where you only talked about me. And that's what happened, right? Because you couldn't shut up about it. Your fans were fucking going, Ethan, we get it.
My fans are fine, bro. Don't worry about my fans.
And the entire time you frame this as though it's petty fucking drama.
It's not petty drama. You are deeply anti-Semitic, hateful, fucking propagandist liar.
That took place. And it only took you now to fucking openly say 10 toes down that it is a genocide, but also
I've said that. I've said that consistently for years, liar.
Ethan, you don't want anyone to resist against genocide. It is a fucking untenable position.
Oh, you mean kidnapping civilians?
No
You're so pathetic, bro. Please.
And you constantly keep smearing me as a fucking anti-Semite at a time when
today.
the Trump administration, at a time when the Trump administration is blackbagging people.
Yeah, that's bad happening. Don't call me out. That's bad happening. Don't call me out. That's what you're doing.
Dude, how do you not
Why didn't you watch the Bad Empanada video?
That you are playing a formative role when you don't talk about Mahmoud Khalil?
Just remember, everybody watching,
when you don't talk about the mass starvation of Gaza.
By the way, I advocated for Kamala to get elected. What'd you do? I told people to vote for Kamala. What'd you do?
Oh.
No, seriously.
Oh, dude, what?
What'd you do?
Ethan,
did you?
Congratulations.
Do you think Kamala and Trump would have been equally bad?
I won't change anything from Joe Biden's policies, Harris.
It's not Joe Biden, it's Kamala Harris.
Not only did I go to the DNC, but I actually offered some pretty fucking valuable criticism of the Democratic Party that they didn't listen to, unfortunately.
Didn't they kick you out of the DNC?
Because they didn't listen to that valuable criticism, they lost.
Didn't they?
Why have you lied about me voting for Jill Stein, by the way? Can we talk about that?
I don't know.
Who do you keep saying I voted for Jill Stein?
Who did you vote for?
Countless hours shitting on Jill Stein.
I said I think you did.
Not to vote for Trump. I've said that Donald Trump is significantly worse than Kamala Harris. And I've also, on top of that, called Jill Stein a grifter over and over and over again. But for some weird reason, despite the fact that I voted live, mind you,
and you didn't say who
for. Audience,
what is this?
You kept lying to your audience.
I said
I think. You kept making it seem as though I didn't even fucking vote, or I urged people not to vote. There's never been a moment where I said do not vote.
Who did you vote for?
I voted for Kamala Harris. You got a problem?
No, I got no problem, but I think there's people in your audience that would.
You don't have a problem. You don't have a problem.
Why
with
didn't you
that.
endorse her then?
Why the fuck do you keep saying I voted for Jill Stein?
I said I think because you didn't say who you voted for.
Oh,
yeah,
you
that's
think.
what I said. It's an opinion.
Oh, you think. Oh, you don't give a fuck, dude. It doesn't matter who I vote for anyway. You're out of your fucking mind. I did.
I mean, he is kind of right about that, right? It doesn't really matter who he voted for anyway. In a way. Just in a roundabout kind of funny way, it doesn't really matter who he voted for. Just in a funny roundabout way, okay?
Not endorse Kamala Harris, and I will never endorse Kamala Harris.
Voted for her.
And I did not endorse Joe Biden.
And now Trump's president.
You want to know why?
Lots of people have made this point already, but it's like, isn't that your job as a political commentator to endorse? Like, aren't you a political commentator? Like, how pathetic do you have to be to not endorse anybody as a fucking political commentator? Like, what are you talking about? No political commentators like this. Like, way to go, Hassan. Like, you literally admitted that you're a fucking grifter, right? Like, you literally just straight up admitted that you're a fucking grifter, like, as flat out as you can be, right? Oh, great. I'm not going to endorse anyone. What? Huh?
Because you want to know why?
Trump's building the Riviera in Gaza Strip. And guess what? You fucking love that shit because you get to keep making content about it and you get to keep making videos and you guarantee there will never be peace there because you won't acknowledge the trauma of both sides. Two things must always be true,
How much content have you made about Donald Trump? How much content have you made about fucking Donald Trump? You literally defended his terrorist regime. What the fuck are you talking about? And then you have to apologize because you're an embarrassing figure.
You can't fathom.
Listen to me. Listen to me.
You can't fathom that somebody says something wrong and comes back and corrects it.
And all of the producers or all the people that are giving you fucking talking points is not going to make you come across as smart in this process. Please, for your own mental sanity, stop trying to do this. You are basically brain breaking a shit ton of people into idiotic positions. You clearly don't care about people who have actually voted for Donald Trump, considering your allegiance with people who have literally directly voted for Donald Trump.
Who's my allegiance? Okay? Who's my allegiance to?
What do you mean? You have fucking Trump supporters that you're friends with. Like Steiny in general. When I have a conversation with him, I'm actually directly fucking addressing some of the shit.
By the way, isn't it kind of funny how Hassan here literally talks about associations and guilt by association when Hassan himself literally has people who are advocating for the death of Destiny and advocating for killing Ethan Klein and stuff like that, but then he's not willing to double down that community. Like, isn't it funny how literally he will constantly make excuses for his own fucking community when he will literally go after Ethan Klein's like associates by like guilt by association? God damn, he doesn't even realize his own hypocrisy.
My interview with him, you like fucking dipshit. That our entire conversation was me arguing with him and telling him why Trump's bad and why transphobia is bad. You are insanely incompetent.
Going out, you're playing poker with people who fucking voted for Donald Trump. You're defending Asmongold.
Steiny's podcast, you hypocrite.
Is not actually Trump coded.
I spent hours shitting on Steiny. You're just a liar.
Asmongold has been a valuable figure shitting on me this entire time, and that's the only reason why you act like he's not that significant of a force. That's it.
When did I say that?
Nice. You will take help from anyone and everyone.
And it was all written by Destiny, right?
You claim to care. You claim to care about rape, and you're hyping up a dude who has a segment on a show called Ultimate Rape Review. The reason why you're hyping up that dude is because you don't give a fuck. All you care about is petty drama. This is your only content. Stop doing petty drama content. Shut the fuck up about politics and get back to goofs and gaffs, and it will be fine. People will forget that you have behaved in this way, but you don't want to do that. It's become a fucking personal agenda for you that people don't like you. It must be anti-Semitism. No, they don't like you because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and you have to be babied by goddamn producers as a 40-year-old adult. That's the reason why people don't like it.
Very good. Very good. Now, why don't you watch Bad Empanadas videos about you?
Because he's pro-Palestine, and I don't give a fuck about.
He was criticizing you.
Palestine,
oh, you're
and
such
I don't
a
care
coward,
about the difference in methods that we have.
All right, very good. I'm out of my depth. I shouldn't talk about
the movement. And if you were pro-Palestine, I would never talk about you either. That's the real reason.
Uh-oh.
Can you please contend with the Avi Schleim quote that they left not because of Zionism, but because of they were afraid?
Dude,
come on. Enough. You have Avi Schleim on the show.
How many times, dude, how many times is Hassan going to admit that he's a fucking grifter before his audience finally understands that in every single possible way he is a grifter? Like how many times do you think that he's gonna admit? Like, how he admits so many times at this point that he is just straight up like a hardcore grifter. It's so cringe. Ah! Yeah, I don't know, dude. It's cringe.
Joe, talk to him about it, okay?
Sure,
Maybe
yeah.
it'll go down exactly like you thought with
No?
Sam
What?
Cedar.
Huh?
How did it go with Sam Cedar? I think if anything, Sam kind of embarrassed himself.
True.
I genuinely do. I hate to say it because
Yes,
I like
dude,
Sam.
a 40-year-old
like,
man who needs a fucking button when he has like a little
steal the
moment
Did I
is
button?
actually the one who's talking about Sam
maybe.
Cedar embarrassing
Did I
himself.
button
I mean, it's a
during
mod.
that debate?
He lowered himself to talk to you man to man and try to
That's what you
explain to you what was
wanted.
going on.
That's what.
Oh my god. How are you gonna guzzle cum from the cum guzzler, dude? While Sam, dude, you're getting second helpings from the guy who is swallowing buckets of cum. How are you not embarrassed? What, like, do you feel good knowing that you're getting second helpings from the cum guzzler?
What you asked for? Why would you want to
wanted that
lower his
conversation to be
status?
private,
Oh my
Ethan.
God.
I
Why
wanted that
did you
conversation to be
lower his
private
status?
because I thought you could be convinced.
Dude,
I didn't realize you were
get
this
me
fucking
out.
drama obsessed. You
Drama
thought
obsessed.
Sam
We had an
Cedar was
argument
gonna
about
give you
fucking
credit
South
for saying it was
Africa
against me.
apartheid. What's drama about that?
What?
You're fucking dude. Listen,
I can't
enjoy,
hear what you said. What did you say?
It doesn't matter. Just remember, when it comes to criticism, I watch it.
Yes,
You
yes.
ignore
Nelson
it. It's so
Mandela.
important.
Nelson Mandela was actually peaceful because you're gonna clip chimp the fucking shit that Loner Box told you.
Why
and
was
then
it-
you're gonna
what?
say the
Dude,
violent things that
Hassan.
the violent things that
What?
the ANC did were in the Truth and
How many-
Reconciliation Committee
Am I gonna drop
attributed
it?
to.
Yeah, I think I will.
Hassan, how many
dealt
civilians
with.
died in the 20 years in the ANC during the ANC's?
It was like 200, I think.
Less than
or
100.
1,000.
How many people did Hamas kill on one day? Nelson Mandela, which I'll read you a
comparing?
quote from his trial. I'll read
Are
you a
you
quote.
Are you comparing the apartheid structure in South Africa to 76 years of colonial occupation?
Don't you do that all the time?
Oh.
No, the
You call it
numbers
apartheid
are
all the
larger,
time.
and the militancy has
Oh,
gotten far more
no.
radical as a direct consequence of Israel becoming far more radical. Because, as I told you, and you seemingly understood when we first had this conversation after October 7, that the maintenance of an apartheid is an inherently violent endeavor, and as a matter of fact, the resistance to said apartheid is only
Very
going
woke
to
of you,
get
dude.
worse and worse as time
Very
moves
nice.
on. This is precisely the reason
You're
why
not
the first
talking
intifada
about
was,
what I'm
was fought
talking
with
about.
stones,
You're just bringing
little
random
children
shit
throwing
up,
rocks,
bro.
and the second intifada in the aftermath of horrific acts of terror
Let me read
against
you-
Palestinians who were at a mosque praying.
I
The
actually
second
have
intifada,
facts.
as a matter of
I
fact,
have
was
a
fought with
historical
bombs.
quote. I'm not just grandstanding.
No, wait, facts?
Mandela,
Oh, God,
from his
not
trial
these.
in 1960, said, and I quote, "There were 4 forms of violence that were possible. One was sabotage, one was guerrilla warfare, one was terrorism, and then there was open revolution. We chose to adopt the first method as it exhausted it before taking any other decision. In light of our political background, the choice was a logical one. Sabotage did not involve loss of life, and it offered the best hope for future race relations. Bitterness would be kept minimum, and if a policy bore fruit, democratic government could become a reality. This is what we felt at the time, and this is what we said in our manifesto. We
Keep going.
have always sought to achieve liberation without bloodshed and civil clash. We hope, even at this late hour, that our first actions will awaken everyone to the realization that the disastrous situation which the nationalist policy is leading. We hope that we will bring the government and its supporters to their senses before it's too late, so that both the government and its policies can be changed before matters reach the desperate state of war."
Notice how the end part of that is getting ready for rebellion.
Did they?
I feel like with
What?
within the-
What?
yeah,
What?
because
No, they
the
didn't.
apartheid structure.
What? 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 What is he talking about? What do you mean? How is he talking to? Oh my god, dude! Oh my god! Oh my god! After I watched a documentary on Nelson Mandela today, okay, he's so off the base here. He's actually so fucking off base. Foods, how many brain cells have you lost watching this and Aspen vids? Dude, I think I have one brain cell left, and I think I'm about to kill it and execute it and put it out of its misery.
Dissolved as a direct consequence of pressure campaigns and also militancy, which Nelson Mandela not once but twice
what's Hamas doing
with
for
the option
liberation
of having his sentence commuted, which he refused to do. They said,
on principle,
Nelson Mandela,
bro.
if you disavow
on
violence,
principle, he said, "I will not remain in jail as because a prisoner can't negotiate. A prisoner can't decide."
Yes, that was the
he
first
said
time.
no.
And in both
times he refused on principle. Less than 100 people died during the 20-year period. They never anyone that attacked civilians, they were disavowed. The ANC repeatedly apologized and disavowed violence against civilians.
When did they do that?
Less than 100 civilians died.
When did
Hamas
they do that?
killed 1,000 civilians on one fucking day.
Oh my god.
1,000 civilians?
Yeah.
The poor civilian Israeli soldiers that died
they did.
in their military bases.
There was like, bro, you're so dumb. 300.
What do you mean I'm so dumb?
Okay,
These
how many
numbers
civilians
matter.
died? How many civilians died?
I believe the total number of casualties on October 7 was 1,200, with 800 being civilians, which is completely unacceptable, mind
I'm
you,
off
and
by
400 being
100.
military
I was
members.
off by 100. Oh my god, dude! I can't believe the historical inaccuracies.
Well,
you're
you just
an
made
idiot.
a big. You're the one who's bringing up numbers here, Ethan. And yes, I
was
do think it's
virtually
important
correct.
to recognize something here that you are seemingly failing to recognize. Nelson Mandela was thrown in prison because he went and trained with the FLN in Algeria. The reason why he stayed in fucking prison was because he refused to disavow violence, because he understood that as long as peaceful revolution
I didn't say
is
he's a pacifist.
impossible,
I never said he's a
violent
pacifist.
revolution is inevitable.
Yeah, and I never said he's a
revolution
pacifist.
They did do.
You know what's funny?
Yeah, what's funny? Tell us.
In terms of the death and destruction on the apartheid structure, by the way,
Nelson
it is
Mandela
incomprehensible
Zionist?
to compare that to Israel's violence against the Palestinians.
Was Nelson
what Israel has done to the
Mandela
Palestinians?
Oh, you guys are gonna love this part.
Is far worse. And by the way,
right?
that's not my assessment. What Israel has done to the Palestinians for the past 76 years is infinitely worse.
Well, let's ask someone that lived through
assessment, by the
apartheid.
way. That is the assessment of Mandela. And for all the, for all of the moments that he was
You
able
think
to fucking
Mandela
see.
said what's happening is worse than what we went through? That's bullshit. Why would he say that? Hassan, you're a liar.
Why would he say that? Because it's true, Ethan.
Okay.
That's why.
Is Nelson Mandela a Zionist?
Yes, Nelson Mandela. Are you going to say in 1999 he said Israel has a legal right to exist?
More
in
than
that
that.
same
He
speech
said more
that you're
than
going to
that.
fucking clip, champ.
Remember that you called this guy a neo-Nazi, not fit to be a dog
Oh,
catcher.
no.
That's what you said about
What?
Nelson Mandela.
Wait,
Oh,
what are you
no.
talking about?
What?
Whoa, you're jumping off like
Bro, okay, remember Hassan said in a clip, okay, Zionists are neo-Nazis that are not even fit to be a dog catcher. Nelson Mandela said he was a Zionist. Is he not fit to be a dog catcher now?
a million different points.
The right of Israel to exist as a state.
I love his voice.
legally.
Very cool.
We have stood quite openly and firmly for the right of that state to exist within secured borders.
You disagree with that statement?
Does Israel has a right to exist? Not in the way that it currently does.
Within secure borders.
Ethan, hold on.
Coward.
Do you know what he says after that clip?
Yeah, that he also thinks that Palestinians also need to be acknowledged. Which, by the way, is my fucking point.
No, not that.
Palestinian
Not
liberation
that.
and Israeli borders are two sides of the same coin.
Ethan, he didn't just say Palestinians also need to be acknowledged.
What'd he say?
He says that if peaceful means of coexistence is impossible, then violence is inevitable, Ethan. Why did you clip that out of the fucking clip chimp
Because
that
it's
you
irrelevant.
posted, Ethan?
Did you saying I clip chimp Nelson Mandela?
Yes, you literally did. You cut him out of context.
No,
because it doesn't
he's
suit
a
your fucking
Zionist.
purpose.
What do you mean? He's talking philosophically.
Yes, you just did.
He's talking
You
philosophically.
just did. You think it's irrelevant? We're having a conversation about Nelson Mandela and whether or not.
Dude, Ethan Klein accused of clip chimping Nelson Mandela.
He actually believes in violence.
God. Dude, I remember when Nelson Mandela was on the top 5 streamers on Twitch.
Whether or not he actually believes in violence. You have said time and time again.
not terminally online, by the way, a grass toucher, by the way.
That he was a peaceful dove. He's never actually done any violence
literally
whatsoever.
didn't.
There are numerous instances
Inevitability, a philosophical warning, is not an endorsement. He was speaking as a warning to them, which was apt.
Brother, that is insane.
What?
Nelson Mandela was literally on a terror watch list since 2008.
Who gives a fuck?
What do you mean, who gives a fuck? You like to use the terrorism watch list when you're talking about the Houthis, or you like to use the terrorist watch list when you're talking about Hezbollah.
I mean, I gave you
Hamas.
specific examples of why those organizations are bad.
Who do you think that was a...
Brother, may I have some oats? No, brother. That whole human has thrown the oats at me.
Who do you think the philosophical point that he was making? The guy who was in prison for violent resistance, by the way, who trained
violent resistance? You mean sabotage?
Ready for rebellion, by the way.
Sabotage and giving government infrastructure.
Do you think that was a warning to Palestinians, or do you think that was a warning to
the fact
Israel?
That you are
because
so
that
willing.
Same Nelson Mandela has time and time again also repeated that no one is free until Palestine is free. That same Nelson Mandela that you're trying to fucking use in this situation has said that this is a united struggle, that Israel's actions against the Palestinians are abhorrent, that it is akin to what they have experienced in apartheid South Africa, if not worse. So the
abhorrent? Oh my.
Idea that you can make this comparison
I want
because you
Palestine to
think
be
it's
free, my friend.
argument is so stupid. And the only way you can do that is by cutting it out of context.
No, I just explained why. Dude, I want Palestine to be free. But you know what? I don't think Hamas is furthering that goal. I think Hamas is counterproductive. They're making it worse. They're causing it to be inevitable. You refuse
Why are they making it worse?
You refuse to criticize them, which is pathetic. Unlike
Why are
me,
they making it
I'm
worse,
willing to
Ethan?
criticize
Why are
the
they making
Israeli
it worse?
government. I'm
Why are
willing
they
to come
making
to
it worse?
terms with the cruel reality. Hamas.
Walk through it. Why are they making it worse?
Oh my God!
Well,
really?
what was the fucking objective there on October 7th, genius?
Kidnapping, which by the way I don't even agree with, which is an international human rights violation. But kidnapping Israeli soldiers, Israeli civilians to make to
and what part about that was slaughtering fucking families in their homes?
Ethan,
Their
I
goal
don't
was to
agree
kill
with
civilians.
the tactics. You know this already. We're not relitigating this over and over again.
I'm just saying, Hamas is a bunch of fucking
17 months of fucking genocide. Okay. What do you think? What do you think?
One day you're gonna watch a video response I make. One day.
Probably not. When you apologize for all the fucking harm that you've done.
Apologize.
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen.
I have the rest of the clip that you clipped, Chip, by the way, if you want to hear his actual fucking full-fleshed opinions.
I'm not hiding from it. I literally acknowledge what he said. I don't care.
But so why did you say that he was actually why did you say that he was actually a peaceful resistance type of guy?
That?
See, why would listen, why the fuck would Ethan Klein clip chimp Nelson Mandela like this, okay? Doesn't he know that it's rude?
When the fuck did I say that, you liar?
You've said it on numerous occasions as opposed to... You said that on numerous occasions before someone told you, no, actually, here's a better way to massage that narrative.
I said he uses violent means such as sabotage. He didn't kill civilians.
Ethan,
that's what I said.
Will you stop talking if I show you numerous instances where you have said Nelson Mandela was peaceful?
I'm not going to... You get those together, okay?
I mean, there's...
You're going to do great. You're going to do great. Yeah, go ahead and grab
you literally said he was a pacifist.
I never said Nelson Mandela was a pacifist.
Ethan,
that is an insane lie.
You said it to Sam Cedar 2 days ago.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. I feel like he's somewhat of a pacifist, but not really, right? Like, dude, I think once everything is done with him or whatever, I think he was like, okay, shit. Look, listen, it's not a good look to kill people. Actually, all right, listen, it was not a good thing to kill people. I don't think killing people was like the right move here. Okay.
You got to watch that back because you're once again a liar. You have no problem lying. You have no problem saying that I work with the ADL without any evidence. You fucking have no problem discrediting the suffering of Jewish refugees.
Nelson Mandela is a pacifist.
Okay, well, prove it.
And the full quote, by the way, of Nelson Mandela is from when he visited Gaza in 1999 that I was referring to. Choose peace rather than confrontation, except in cases where we cannot move forward. Then, if the only alternative is violence, we will use violence. Yeah. Does that sound like a pacifist to you?
I meant that he didn't kill civilians. His
Do you think
approach
Nelson
is
Mandela would fuck
vastly
with the
different
Houthis?
than what
We're getting
Hamas is doing.
Do you think
propagandized.
Nelson
Yeah, I saw that, but I'm pretty sure I already know about that. Like, wait, why the fuck would I care about Emery? To be fair, like, he's like a complete. I mean, like, it's Emery, but like, to me, he's a complete rando, right? Like, in a way, right?
Nelson Mandela would like what
I
the
was
Houthis are
shocked.
doing?
Well,
I don't know. Let's fucking dig him out of his grave and ask him.
That's kind of weird because, I mean, you said he was doing peaceful means of
Do I
resistance.
think Nelson
like
Mandela would be in
sabotage.
favor of kidnapping 10 civilians? No, of course not.
Yes, he would. 100%.
All right, well, while you're busy putting words in a dead man's
100%
mouth.
he would. What are you talking about? Nelson Mandela bombed the fucking church and shit. What are you talking about? Not Nelson Mandela directly in
didn't
prison, but
fuck with civilians, bro. That was his
what? Bucko? Hello? Damn.
thing. He wanted to be as peaceful as possible because he knew that if he killed and targeted civilians, it would make reunification impossible.
You're right.
That's
Israel's doing
a
a genocide
historical
because
fact.
Palestinians are
shaken, not stirred.
Hey, Bucko, thank you for the 60 ringgits. Okay, that earns you like a fucking how do you do it? Like this. All right, well, cool. There you go. Okay.
They're not resisting
Less than
in the
100
appropriate ways.
civilians died in 20-year period.
Is it a conflict of interest if a mod donates? Nah, I gave up on it.
I mean, what do you want more than that?
It probably is, but I don't care.
Hamas killed 1,000 or 900. So sorry.
800. But also,
I am so 800. You're right. You know what?
Well,
That's better.
It's seemingly important.
That's
You're the one who's
better.
bringing up numbers. Now, what you again fail to recognize is, of course, the length, and not only that, but also the resistance against apartheid South Africa included military resistance on top of that. But that's not even my point here. Okay.
Huh?
My point is that the apartheid in South Africa and the resistance against it was a far shorter period with far less casualties on the South African side as opposed to Israel's complete ethnic cleansing campaign that is that has started now, but even before its ethnic cleansing campaign.
Well, then don't compare Hamas to Nelson Mandela.
Because the situation is far worse, Ethan.
Then why
because Israel has killed every Nelson Mandela. Israel would have probably killed Nelson Mandela if they had the opportunity to do so.
I'm sure they would have done everything bad that's ever happened in the world.
Wait, do you know why I said that? No, don't look at your laptop. Do you know why I said that?
Let me guess. You, I don't. Oh, tell me.
No, go ahead. Just throw up a guess.
All right, listen. It's 5 o'clock. I'm not doing this. Okay. You
you
can
don't
tell
wanna
me
do
or
this.
you cannot.
Okay.
You want to? I'll stand here if you want to tell me, but I'm not going to sit here and play rhetorical games.
Israel was aligned with South Africa, the apartheid government.
Yeah,
as
I
a
know. They
matter
made
of
nuclear
fact.
bombs with them. It's horrible.
Yeah.
What's that have to do with anything? Fuckhead.
Yeah.
When did I defend that?
Well, they're both apartheids, so.
Yeah. And when did I deny that? All right, listen, it's 5 o'clock. Like I said, I have a family to go home to. I have 3 kids and a wife, and I know that you have a fucking cool-ass race car bed to sleep in, and I hope you enjoy that. And
okay, man. Thank you. Have a good one. I hope this was productive. Dan, he needs you more than you need him. Stop babying this man, please. He needs you more than you need him.
How much of a loser do you have to be to turn to your former friends, look them in the eyes, and then go, dude, stop being friends with my enemy. Stop being friends with my enemy. Okay, dude.
Stop babying him.
Well, I know that's true, but I don't baby him.
Come on. Okay. All right.
You want to target the crew more? You want to drum up her
for my coworkers. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the crew.
Hey,
they
Bad
are what makes
Empanada
the
called
show
AB
great.
a house slave.
What?
Bad Empanada called AB a house slave.
Yeah, he's wrong. What the fuck do you want?
Okay, well, you watch his videos a lot.
Why are you bringing up Bad Empanada? Do you think I agree with everything he says? No, of course not.
You endorse him.
True.
Ethan,
all right, we gotta go. You promote him all the time. That's a fact.
That I agree with, that I think are very well thought out.
All right,
I don't
listen,
endorse
stop being a coward and watch some fair criticism.
Video essays about Ethan Klein?
Overall,
Which video
Please
is
stop
this?
being a coward and just watch some
Jesus.
criticism. It will prove that you
No,
are not
well,
afraid.
This was pretty good. This was pretty productive. You know, having this conversation, having this back and forth. Don't you think?
I actually do. I think you exposed yourself deeply a few times here, and I think we'll have to wait and see, obviously, how this pans out. But I do think it was productive to show just kind of the blatant, overt, you know, anti-Semitism.
Maybe I will watch the Context Puke.
Yes, please, and then we can talk about it.
Maybe I will watch
the
Context Puke live, as a matter of fact,
please
not in a cowardly way. I like that this is what it's come to, where having a face-to-face conversation is less. Is somehow less fucking is more cowardly than like actually watching a YouTube video that you made.
It is
dude. What's cowardly is you fucking constantly crying and refusing to actually look for context and putting together putting together shit that you saw on fucking subreddits to be like, this is my argument. I'm destroying him.
Watch it and tear it up and show how out of context it was. I'd love that.
Don't worry. Maybe I'll actually do that to fundraise for the charities that you are actively targeting by trying to undermine and celebrate with Creator Clash 3, which is, you know,
I don't know if you know this, but last year they lost $250,000. To be charitable, you actually have to give money to charity.
I know. You fucking hate everybody that has even lightly fucking criticized you or stayed out of.
Are you surprised that I didn't like Ian's video?
What? No, dude.
Dude, if you want to own me, listen, Hassan. If you want to own me by donating to charity, I think that's fantastic.
You're gloating that a fucking charity event is actually like you're trying to undermine a charity event deliberately.
You have to give money to be charity. It's like a slush fund for them.
God, that's so gross, man.
I mean, what happened last year? How much money did they make? Did they do charity last year?
I don't know.
They lost $250,000.
Will you debate me again, Ethan, if you keep chirping in the future?
Yeah, of course.
Perfect.
But if you, I think it would be good if you watch the context puke,
maybe I will. Maybe I'll
and then we can discuss it.
Maybe I'll do that to fundraise for Creator Clash.
Yes, I think it's awesome. If you want to own me by donating to charity, I think that's sick as fuck.
Yeah, maybe you should do that too. You know, donate some pro-Palestinian charities. I'll feel so fucking owned.
Let's own each other and donate to charity.
All right.
I know you guys fucking. I know you guys hate each other, but the views were crazy.
It was. How many? I never looked.
I'm just saying. Think about it.
What was the views at? I never looked.
They're pretty good on both ends. Like 100K.
This is such a
Whose
cool
was higher?
shit.
Don't ask that question.
Hassan's was higher.
Hassan's was higher.
Yeah.
Not by much, but it was higher.
That's not good. We got to do something.
I mean, I had 120,000. I don't know what you guys had over there. I wasn't looking, but
we got up to about 100K. So
well, we're gonna have to do some. These people.
Hassan was definitely looking. I don't know why he's still pretending that he isn't like hyper. God, it's so cringe when he tries to hide how insecure he is, dude. Holy.
Well, clearly have some kind of brain disease, and we need to do something about it.
No, for sure. Ethan, please keep up the energy as though you feel that there is a genocide going on, because your output is what matters here. And that is what I was trying to get across to you and get across to your audience. If you think that
I acknowledge that I acknowledge that I could talk about it more, and I should make more of an effort to talk about it.
Okay, thank you. Instead of going after,
and you should try not to be a fucking raging anti-Semite for a day.
What?
If you can try not to be a raging anti-Semite for a day, then we can shake hands.
Ethan, I don't think you actually believe that I'm anti-Semitic. I think you're hysterical.
You should watch back the first part of this interview.
What?
You should watch back the first part of this interview. That is.
I don't think that makes you look good.
Okay, well, I guess we'll wait and see. Unfortunately, I think your people are going to think it makes you look good, and then everybody else is going to think that might look good. Like, who gives a fuck? At the end of the day,
I'm sure.
It's not a swastika. It's just the swastika sword. It's not a swastika. It's just the sword that I called the swastika sword. Got it. All right. Have a good night, Hassan.
Oh, all right.
I gotta go. All right,
you too, bud.
The swastika katana, dude.
Buddy. You take care, bud.
All right.
Old friends, together at last.
Bye, Hassan.
Give Kaya our love. Give Kaya our love.
Yeah, we all still love Kaya.
Oh my God, what a fucking train wreck. I was hoping that I shouldn't have hoped that he would have been more open to listening, but I guess that's what it was meant to be.
It is what it is.
I'm so tired.
How long was that going on for?
5 hours. 4 hours and 15
we're going on
minutes.
5 hours here.
Was I owned?
I need to process everything that just happened. My head's spinning.
Another fucking fever dream.
I was starting to lose, like, at the end tail of that. It's like, dude, I can't do
I could tell you were fading a little bit.
I think I got him. Honestly, I think I got him pretty good. The way that he was, like, denying obvious, blatant shit and being like, no, that's not. No, you're insane.
Dude, there's just so many good moments. Holy shit. Like, there was just a cesspool of crazy moments. Also, we gotta watch Content Deputy H3, okay? We gotta watch that. But, like, another day, okay? Another night, another day. Yikes.